Chicago Marathon. With me to break it all down is my partner in crime, NBC5's Siafa Lewis, alongside two of the sport's very best analysts, Tim Hutchings and Ed Eyestone. Gentlemen, we have potential for a lot of fun today and a lot of drama.
Absolutely. So excited to be back with you. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we are excited to be back with all of you together for our third year doing this. In the next X amount of hours, some 45,000 will try to dig deep to cross the finish line behind us on Columbus Drive. Of course, this is a race. Let's start the conversation with the elite men who will tackle Chicago today as the last two winners of this race once again go head-to-head. Of course, we're talking about Mo Farah and Galen Rupp. Tim, is Mo the man to beat today?
Well, he's a Brit, so of course he is. No, Mo has been training in Flagstaff at high altitude for 11 of the last 12 weeks he's been up there. The only break was to go back to the UK and set a European half marathon record, check in with the family, and then get back down to it. At the age of 36, he has 4 Olympic gold medals, 7 World Championship gold medals. He's moved onto the road. His marathon career is growing and growing. He's still learning. It's actually been a refreshing process for Mo Farah. He won here last year in a European record, looking fantastic. And all indications after my 1-hour chat with his coach last night are that he is in very, very good shape and ready to defend successfully.
Well, Galen Rupp is considered one of the greatest American distance runners ever. He's the Olympic bronze medalist in the marathon from Rio. He followed that up coming to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon in 2017, which he won. And the last year he finished 5th, running a very respectable 2:06:21. But he had a bit of an injury after that, had to undergo some Achilles tendon surgery. And quite frankly, he has not raced in the last year. So question marks abound about his fitness. We asked him what kind of shape he was in. In the press conference, he said, quite frankly, I'm wondering about that myself. So I think he's just going to try to get a good race in, prepare for the trials.
The danger man is Lawrence Cherono of Kenya. He's the reigning Boston champion. He won with an amazing sprint down in Boylston back in April. He's the equal fastest in the field here in Chicago. He's very experienced. This is his 15th marathon. He's a serial winner, this Kenyan. He's won 7 of his 14 marathons to date. He is vulnerable. He was 7th in London last year, so he can have a poor day very occasionally, but this guy knows how to get it right.
All right, we'll see what happens. Of course, we're going to be following all of the action from right here in the broadcast booth, but we also have a lot of folks out there on the field, specifically following the men's elite field will be our very own Todd Williams. Todd, what are you expecting?
Good morning, guys. Today's weather looks fantastic. The field looks amazing. I mean, everybody asks about how the weather's going to be, and I just think it's going to be an amazing day. I think the course record at 2:03:45 is in jeopardy. They're going to be going out in 4:40, so we've got the major players. We've got Sir Mo, we've got Cherono. I'm excited to get on that motorcycle and just see how fast these guys can go. I mean, I've been involved in this event since 1994, and I've seen some amazing runners come through here, but today is one of the top fields that's ever been assembled, so it should be a good day, a fast day, and I'm just ready to get on that motorcycle and see what happens. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Todd. Thank you, Todd. We may be witnesses to history this morning on the women's side. Reigning champion Brigette Casca is in a class of her own right now, and in her own way, so is American Jordan Hasay. Ed, what can you tell us about Brigette?
Well, unbeatable would be the best word to describe Brigette Casca right now. She simply has not lost a race in 2019, and she is looking very, very fit. She's our defending champ from last year, where she won this in dominant fashion, winning by over 2 minutes. She followed that up, running the London Marathon, winning the London Marathon by over 2 minutes. And then once again, just recently in a test of fitness, she ran a half marathon where she destroyed the field, running the fastest half marathon ever by a woman. She said in her press conference, if the conditions were going to cooperate, she had a chance for that course record. I think she's going to go for that course record of 2:17:18 today. And quite frankly, if the wind stays down, she could get the world record.
Oh, wow.
Well, one athlete who'll be up to stop her is Jordan Hasay of the USA. She was 3rd here in 2017 in her PR of 2:20:57. She then spent nearly all of 2018 out injured, but came back in April, took another 3rd place in Boston. She's finished 3rd in her 3 completed marathons. So didn't start Chicago last year without those injury problems, but she's a very, very positive athlete, is Jordan Hasay. And actually, people are whispering that the American record is possible.
All right. Well, a week ago, she was running a marathon in the Twin Cities. Today, she's helping us cover one. Carrie Thompson is down at the start line with another of the many strong American women in the race today, Emma Bates. Hey, Carrie, and hi, Emma.
All right, everybody, I'm down here with Emma Bates. Emma, you've had a great last year. 2018 USATF Marathon Champion. You won the 25K in 2019 here at Chicago. What's the plan for today?
The plan is to just run my own race the first half. I don't want to get, wrapped up in the excitement of all the crowd and everything and get it over my head. So run the first race by myself, kind of get a feel for it, and then just attack the competition the second half.
You said this was a big day. You need to learn how to race the marathon a little bit more. This is only your second one. We have the Olympic trials coming up in February. What does today's race mean to you?
It's a big deal just because it's going to be such a competitive team to make come February. So I want to be ready as much as I can. So competing with these women out here today, some of the best in the nation and the country, is going to be something that's going to be really special.
Well, we know you have a lot to do today, but you're getting married next weekend. So good luck to you with both the race and the wedding.
Thank you so much. So excited.
All right, you guys, back to you.
Thank you, Carrie. Everyone running today will be taking on one of the world's greatest marathon courses. It's basically a 26.2-mile tour of our amazing city. Runners begin their marathon journey in Grant Park. They'll then head through the loop and go north. At mile 8, they'll see Kai Martin in Lakeview. Next, they'll cut through Old Town, race to the 13-mile mark and Regina Waldrop at the halfway point. Then it's on to Kaylee Dion, celebrating at the charity block party. At mile 20, Jorge de Santiago awaits the runners as they soak up the sights and the sounds of the Pilsen neighborhood. 1 mile later, Jen DeSalvo greets everyone in Chinatown. Runners then make the turn for the home stretch, through Bronzeville and by the Abbott Cheer Zone, and then the journey ends where it all began, back in Grant Park.
It's a great way to see the city and a lot of folks out there to cheer them along, and there's nobody more knowledgeable about what Chicago has to offer than our very own Carol Marine. She'll be out in front of the runners today as they zip their way down the streets, and she joins us now live from the start line. Hey, Carol.
Hello, Marion and Siafa. That's right. I'll be in the lead truck just ahead of the elite runners. But this race is so much more than just who finishes first. It's a trip through 29 neighborhoods, a real taste of Chicago. Some cool facts. My favorite is that runners are from every ward in the city, all 50. So where are we headed? To Chinatown, where you can see a mystical dragon dance, to Lincoln Park, where if you listen closely, you might hear a mighty lion roar, to the vibrant neighborhood of Pilsen, long a welcoming and changing community for immigrants from the Irish to the Mexican, to Greektown, where Opa was first shouted over flaming cheese, and then on to Little Italy. From Boys Town to Lakeview to the South Loop, where you're going to see crowds standing 6 deep just to cheer those runners on. And near the finish line, just past Bronzeville, where Chicago first heard the blues and then passed it on to Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. Can't get no satisfaction? It's not true. I've run this race twice before, and it's fantastic. So as Mick and the Stones sang in Soldier Field this summer, start me up, Marion and Siafa.
All right.
Nobody tells that story better than Carol Marine. Thank you so much, Carol. Well, weather forecasts leading up to this morning's race have helped many prepare mentally for what could be an extra challenging run. Luckily, Alicia Roman joins us now for the absolute latest on the weather. Alicia, what can you tell us?
Siafa, okay, last year we had rain. This year we have hats, gloves, and parkas. Of course, the runners behind me, they will be shedding those clothes. Temperature-wise, okay for the runners, but the thing that we will be watching is the winds, the wind speeds. Right now, the winds are sustained out of the southwest up to about 10, 15 miles per hour, but as the day goes on, we will see those wind gusts getting higher, perhaps up to 20, 25, maybe even up to 30 miles per hour. That's going through the morning and into the afternoon hours. So right now, pretty perfect conditions out there, especially as we are in the upper 30s and low 40s across the area at this time. So we'll continue to watch that. We'll watch everything here. It looks great. You see them all shedding their clothes now, waiting to not get hit, but it's all good. It is all good. We can't wait for these guys to get started. This is my 8th marathon covering it, so this has been fantastic. And if you want to watch more or learn more about the weather for today or watch the Bank of America Marathon, you can just download the NBC5 Chicago app. We'll send it back to you, Siafa and Marion.
You got that right. All right, thanks, Alicia. Well, we'll see how much of a factor the weather is pretty soon. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the field of elite runners. We'll also break down the men's and women's wheelchair race. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The American field is going to be one of the best that we've seen ever.
Having a strong field of Americans is really appreciated by all of us.
I think this is the golden age for women's distance running in the U.S. I'm very excited to run my first Bank of America Chicago Marathon with the Olympic trials coming up in 2020. I think this is a really great trial run before then.
I'd like to go after the American record. Dina Castor ran 2:19:36. I think it could be the perfect place to go after that.
I'm really excited. Jordan Hesse has put it out there. She wants the American record. That record is one of the toughest ones. However, with the depth in American distance running today, I do think it's something that's possible.
And she has time to wave to the crowd.
American distance running is just on the rise, and you could say we're having a moment. It's really cool to be a part of. It's something you kind of dream about growing up, is to have this American contingency, and you always want to see U.S. athletes up there in the front. And as a whole, I think we're kind of pushing it forward, and we'll really be able to take on the world next year at the Olympics.
It's going to be a really, really tough team to make, and I myself have never made an Olympic team, so it's a huge goal of mine, definitely the next major goal that I'd like to go after. Usually at the Olympic trials, I'd say there's probably 4 or 5 major contenders, and this next Olympic trials, I think there's going to be 15.
The reality is American distance running is so good right now that you could have the best race of your life and finish 4th place. That's why, I chose to run Chicago Marathon, because I want to make each race count, and every opportunity is, another chance to test yourself on the starting line. It's a great time to be a woman in American distance running.
Full, still 4 or 5 full. So don't worry. Let's see. Okay, clean up.
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I'm Kai Martin. I'm here in Lakeview, mile 8, as Siafa mentioned, the best aid station. These volunteers will tell you you can track every runner as they come through this aid station and wherever they are in the race with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon app. That's a great tool. I am so excited to be out here and share with you guys the theme of Lakeview's aid station. It's Diva. This is the patron saint of the marathon this year, Lady Gaga. Back to you.
I love it. Thanks, Kai.
Amazing. Truly amazing. All right, we are going to head down now to the start line for the singing of our national anthem.
Today, singing the national anthem is gold medal winning Special Olympics Chicago athlete Yana Kennedy Long. Yana is currently a student at Southside Occupational Academy and has won medals in alpine skiing, floor hockey, bocce ball, track and field, and many more athletic competitions throughout the year. She also serves as part of an 8-person crew that produces the Special Olympics CAN TV program. Please welcome Yana Kennedy Long.
Oh, say, can you see? Early light, what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the ragged gray cloud, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was
right. Great job there. Thank you very much. So, guys, yesterday morning in Vienna, 2014 Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge, the current world record holder in this race, became the first human ever to run a marathon in under 2 hours. However, he did it in a race specifically made and help him do just that. What were your thoughts on the event?
Well, mixed reviews for me. Very happy for Eliud Kipchoge, so certainly a worthy champion. Happy that it shows that human physiology can handle running that fast, but a little disappointed that it was in an aided event. I feel like it tarnishes it for when it really happens in an unaided event.
Yeah, I'm very much with Ed on that. You know, it was a time trial. It wasn't a race. It wasn't a marathon. It was the marathon distance with a time trial. Lots of rules were broken and thrown out. Others were retained. So an astonishing achievement, but I can't wait for it to be done in a competitive race.
I'm sure that'll happen, but a lot of people are still talking about it. All right, so let's now talk about the wheelchair event. Always a good one to watch. Let's start off with the women. We have a major showdown between two great athletes in Tatyana Mcfadden and Manuela Schär. Ed, how's Tatyana looking?
Well, the mark of any great champion is consistency. Tatyana has just that. She won 7 Chicago marathons in a row from 2011 to 2017. 22 world marathon majors in 11 years, but the last couple of years, she's been a little less than perfect. She had some blood clots and health issues. What we forget is she is only 30 years old. She is fit. She's ready to go. She's going to try to get back on the top of the peristyle.
Manuela Schär at 34 enjoyed an astonishing year. You know, she got crowned World Marathon Major Series 12 champion a couple of days ago. She won all 7 races last year. She's enjoyed some fabulous dominance in the absence of Tatyana Mcfadden. Today, maybe we'll see a reset.
All right, on the men's side, we witnessed the birth of a superstar here. A year ago, he's reigning champion, Daniel Romanchuk, and he has an air of invincibility about him. He is the favorite, right, Tim?
Isn't he just? He's the defending champion. At his 5th attempt, you know, as a youngster, he came here. He was 17th, 19th, 17th, and 9th the 4 years before last year when he won. And then he went on to dominate. You know, he took victories in Boston and London. He won in New York last November. He is in fantastic form. And this kid, I want to call him a kid because he's such a humble guy. He could dominate for years yet.
And when you train with the best, sometimes you become the best. Aaron Pike trains with Daniel Romanchuk. He's really upped his game this year, running an American best in 1:20:59 at the Duluth Marathon, so he's running really strong. Also, this is the Paralympic trials for the games in Tokyo coming up in 2020. The first 2 men and first 2 women, American, across the finish line qualify for the Tokyo Olympics.
That's another race within a race. Let's head to the start line as the men's wheelchair race is about to take off. And they are off. It's going to be the beginning. This officially kicks off the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. It's always cool to see them just set out the power in their arms, the power in their shoulders. This is an uphill they're hitting right when they take off from the start line as well.
And by the time most in the Chicagoland area are up, they're going to be done already. Which is
so true. Is this Romanchuk right in the beginning?
That's Romanchuk, yeah. He's not
right away
getting out. You can tell by that massive wingspan of his, he's just putting some distance between he and second place right now.
And this is interesting tactics, you know, to throw the gauntlet down like that straight up.
Yeah.
And here's the women. About to take off. The women's leg, Tatyana Mcfadden, Manuela Schär. Who's going to do this year? Who's going to be on top of the podium this year?
Tatyana, a couple of days ago at the press conferences saying she thinks she's in the best shape of her life. Now, she spent 2 years recovering from those health problems. You know, she was clawing her way back last year. And she was pretty good last year, but it wasn't the full power. You know, her nickname is the Beast because of the work she can put in the gym. You know, that's kind of well known now. And I think we might see the rebirth of the Beast today.
I always wondered just how much of an injury that was. And Ed, you really kind of labeled it when you talked about that clot she had was about the size of a brick. And it took a long time to work it out. That's a lot to get past.
It certainly has, but you know, she's been focusing on nutrition. I think she's gotten over the hump. It's going to be a great battle between her and Schär today.
And I have to think that the extra motivation with all the attention and all the success that Manuela Schär has had in the last couple of years.
You think that's burning, Tatyana?
Well, what we forget is she is only 30 years of age. She still has a lot of good. Yeah, she has a lot of good years left. She is younger than Manuela, and I think she wants to battle back and reclaim that title.
Right.
She's champion.
The wheelchair races can go on for a little bit longer
younger too. You know, I mean, Heinz Frey, the Swiss guy who's been the inspiration for Manuel Achar, he's 60, but he was killing it till a couple of years ago.
Wow. So the Bank of America Chicago Marathon brings all kinds of athletes, really from all around the world, to our great city. So we want to bring in NBC5's Alex Maragos, who has a special guest preparing to run today. Alex.
Yeah, hey, Marion. This is former NFL running back Tiki Barber running his 11th marathon. Tiki, you like the distance running?
I do like the distance running. It's for destinations and to experience this running community, which is amazing. You have these elite guys taking off and striding out here. It's my inspiration for the day, I think.
And your other inspiration is you're running for charity. Who are you running for today?
I'm running for Culture City, which is an autism inclusion and awareness organization, but we also do a lot of sensory processing work. So stadiums, arenas, ballparks, zoos, restaurants, we make them sensory inclusive so the kids who have sensory processing disorders, including those with autism, can attend and go to sporting events, things that they love, and feel comfortable. It's also really about training and making those that are working in those facilities aware of those with sensory processing issues.
So football and marathons are similar. There's a huge physical challenge, but there's a lot of differences. There's no team, there's no blockers, it's all you out there.
It's all me. So when I start to struggle, I can't rely on David Deal, my left guard, to pick me up.
University of Illinois guy, David.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned him. But yeah, it's an individual but collective sport running. I found that everybody roots for each other, unless you're winning. It's not that competitive, except against yourself. And so everyone encourages each other. And so to be out and amongst these marathon runners is something that's always been special to me.
And I feel like just before a big football game, there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of good energy before a marathon run.
That's right. Tons of good energy. Everybody's lifting everybody up and encourage everyone, trying to stay warm in these chilly conditions off of the lake over here. So I love it though, and it's a different kind of challenge for me from my football days, but one that I've grown to embrace.
And a quick thought on the Bears before we let you go. How do you think they're going to do this year?
It's all about the quarterback. I mean, look, Mitch is hurt right now, but defensively, I think they have enough to stand pat for a while. The division is interesting because the Lions, who have traditionally been at the bottom, are actually playing good football this year. It's one of the most competitive ones. I'd be encouraged, but it's got to be the growing process for your quarterback. Really health. It's got to stay forward, moving forward.
All right, three-time Pro Bowler Tiki Barber here with us. Tiki, you've run New York, you've run Jerusalem, you've run Paris. Good luck in your first Chicago Marathon today.
It. Thank you.
All right, good luck out there. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Oh, all right.
Thank
Tiki
you,
Barber. Kevin Hart last year, Tiki Barber this year.
Absolutely.
Always
Maybe
nice to
Marion
see
Brooks
celebs.
next year. Or not, right?
I'll be here with you.
Good point. All right, Alicia Roman has shared the very latest forecast with us. We've got both Brigette Casca and Jordan Hasse eyeing records on the course today, and we've got a field of accomplished runners with an eye on taking Mo Farah's title away from him. How much of an impact do you think, a negative impact, do you think wind could have on these runners today?
Well, the temperature is good, so I think that, you generate a lot of heat. You need to buffer that heat with this cool temperature is fine. If the wind can stay down, if it can be under 10 miles per hour, I think they got a chance. It's over 15, 16 miles per hour. I think it's going to be tough.
Talking 20, 30 mile gusts.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll affect the quality of the racing. It'll be the same for all of them. Maybe a little bit more tactics will come into play, which would play into Mo Farah's hands. But I don't think the wind will be too bad. It's pretty good out there right now.
It is good now. Let's hope that it holds, because it would be great to see a record set here. All right. We are about to set down now to Dave Kappas. Dave is at the start line. He is going to have the introduction of the 2019 elite athletes. Always fun to get an idea of who's on the start line. You get that game face going. You can start to see, and we'll have you guys pick apart what you're seeing as they're starting to get ready to take off for the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Please welcome
Okay,
our
apparently Dave's up. Here he is.
Here he is. Chicago Marathon Elite Field as we celebrate the 42nd annual Chicago Marathon and the start of Abbott World Marathon Major Series 13. Every year, as an Abbott World Marathon Major, Chicago hosts the top athletes from around the world to compete for one of the most prestigious titles in the sport. This 2019 Elite Field features 4 past Chicago Marathon champions, 5 runners who have won an Abbott World Marathon Major, and an Olympic gold medalist. It is my pleasure to introduce the following athletes to the start line. Headlining the women's field, Stephanie Bruce of the United States, 2019 U.S. Half Marathon champion and 2018 U.S. 10K Road champion. Emma Bates of the United States, 2019 U.S. 25K champion and 2018 U.S. Marathon champion. Betsy Saina of Kenya, 2018 Paris Marathon champion and 2016 Olympian. Galeta Burka of Ethiopia, 2019 Paris Marathon champion and 3-time Olympian. Jordan Hassay of the United States, American debut marathon record holder and the second fastest American marathon runner of all time. Brigette Casca of Kenya, 2019 London Marathon champion and your defending champion of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And headlining the men's field, Galen Rupp of the United States, 2017 champion of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon and 2016 Olympic Marathon bronze medalist. Parker Stinson of the United States, 25K American record holder. Bedan Karoki of Kenya, 2019 runner-up at the Tokyo Marathon and a 2-time Olympian. Dixon Chumba of Kenya, 2015 Bank of America Chicago Marathon champion and 2-time champion of the Tokyo Marathon. Lawrence Cherono of Kenya, 2019 Boston Marathon champion, 2-time champion of the Amsterdam Marathon and 2-time champion of the Honolulu Marathon. Mo Farah of Great Britain, 2012 and 2016 Olympic gold medalist and your defending champion of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
All right, we have a strong showing there. And the faces, guys, did you see anything about the faces that told you anything?
Brigette Casca, to me, just looked really focused, really intent, really ready to roll. I think she knows she wants to release the hounds. You shoot that gun, release the hounds, she's going to have a fast time.
Of the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
What are they thinking right now?
Wow, they're thinking just get into a nice steady rhythm early on, get those early miles out of the way. 20 miles of the 26 is halfway. That's what they say in terms of physical effort and probably mental application, but Ed will know better than me.
Yeah, that's certainly right. The first 20, you just want to get in a little cocoon of other runners, get behind those pace setters and roll along. Make those easy those first miles as easy as possible.
I have to say, Galen Rupp, having watched him for the last 2, didn't look as confident. He looks nervous a little bit.
Big unknown today.
Like, yeah, there's a lot riding on him.
It's almost a year to the day since Galen raced. He was 5th here last year, had surgery straight after. You know, there's big question marks, but I don't think he'd line up if he wasn't in pretty good shape.
All right, they're about to take off for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, the 42nd running. There it goes.
All right, here we go. Awesome.
They are off. I have to tell you, I even get a little bit nervous right before that gun goes.
I have goosebumps.
Like, how are they going to do? How's it going to go? Who's going to pull out? Will they get into a pack? And that's part of the strategy, right, guys? I mean, seeing just how it all comes together, who tries to take the lead, who does what. We have rabbits again. We have pacers again. For the last couple of years, which you guys say really makes a difference.
Well, it does, you know, and people come to Chicago because this is a world record course. There's been men's and women's world records here in the past. They know it's quick. People don't come here to run necessarily a tactical race. And Kerry Pinkowski tried that, you know. He holds his hands up and says, look, for a couple of years I tried getting rid of the pacemakers, but the races were slow and kind of meandering for the first 2/3, 3/4 of the distance. And I think actually people can go and find tactical races and slow courses with hills and twists and turns if they want. They come here to race fast. So there are pacemakers for the elite men and the elite women, and there will be packs behind those paces at very quick tempo.
And those pace setters need to be equally talented as those running the race. I mean, one of the pace setters has run 2:05 for the marathon 3 times, which would win most major marathons.
It absolutely would. All right, there is a lot to see. It's going to be very exciting to watch this from a competitive standpoint, as well as some of the secondary runners that are out there watching some of the numbers. And then, of course, the thousands of runners from all over the world that have come here to Chicago, whether it's a personal achievement that they have or for a charity. There's a lot of great reasons to run and a lot of folks excited to do it.
Absolutely amazing to watch
it's
them
so
all
cool to see
take off. And all the work that comes up to this point, all that led up to this point, to get to the starting line, you know?
What about some of the secondaries, guys? What are some of the folks that we should be looking at that aren't necessarily right in the lead?
The top guys.
Well, I think a lot of guys, the American Olympic trials are on February the 29th in Atlanta, and that's not so far away. So it was a big call for a lot of American athletes whether to race here in a full marathon, and some are doing New York in 3 weeks' time, and they're still planning to do those trials in February, or whether or not to back off and keep your full clear and have a long run into those trials. So it's an interesting one. See how the American athletes in particular go, who won't necessarily be right up in that front pack of 6 or 8.
Yeah, I think we'll see guys trying to run 2:09, 2:10, 2:11 in great preparation for the Olympic trials. Guys like Parker Stinson, Scott Smith, Nico Montañez. These are the guys, the next generation of greats, the up-and-coming Galen Rupps of the future that are going to try to get out here, set a personal best time, and prep themselves for the best Olympic trials possible coming in February 29th.
Hey, you guys, let's talk a little bit about the qualifying standard has changed now as well, all across track, right? It's a little bit more challenging to make the teams. They want to have a smaller race than they did in Rio. I think they're like 150 in Rio for men and women, and they want it to be smaller.
Yeah, for a time they were saying 2:11:30 was going to be the time required to make it. And the United States decided to do their Olympic trials course on a course in Atlanta that was very hilly, that was going to make it almost impossible for the winner to even run that time. And so fortunately the IAAF came back and said, you know what, we're going to call the Olympic trials a gold event, in which case the top 3 will automatically qualify.
No matter the time.
No matter the time. So the top 3 of the Olympic trials are going to qualify.
Guys, on our screens right now, Dixon Chumba taking a little bit of a lead. He's running with the Pacers, leaving the rest of the pack. Is that notable at all or not really?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that gap has developed, but they will be running at a preset tempo, and Dixon Chumba very, very experienced. They need to watch him. This is his 20th marathon. He's incredibly consistent. 2 marathons a year after year, and he gets it right again and again. So you could do a lot worse than watch him, follow him through the race, shadow him almost.
We talked a little bit about it, and a lot of the racers at the Elite press conference talked about learning. I mean, and that experience clearly makes a huge difference in something like a marathon.
Well, you're exactly right. Each marathon you take away things that you have learned, and just the fact that you have the repetition of doing it. You learn how to take your fluids better. You learn how to pace yourself that first 20 miles. You learn to be more relaxed. And I think the sweet spot is about your 5th, 6th marathon is when you usually start hitting your personal best times.
Interesting, Dixon Chumba, who we saw there with those 2 pacemakers, just easing away from the pack. This is his 5th Chicago. He won here in 2015. He knows the course really well. So he will have a strategy and a race plan worked out very, very carefully, I'm sure, in his own mind. And it seems to be playing out the way he wants at the moment.
Well, he knows his course and he knows himself. He's very comfortable with himself as well.
Chumba said he was in better shape now than when he won in 2015. Of course, we often say that, but it looks like he's feeling that right now.
All right, we shall see. All right, you don't want to go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Stick with us.
Good morning. I'm Kai Martin along mile 8 in the Lakeview neighborhood. So glad to be on course in this area in Chicago for another year. The theme of the mile 8 aid station, divas. You can see a lot of the preps behind us. We have Britney Spears in her red outfit from one of her famous videos. That's going to be exciting for runners as they come through Lakeview. Still fresh as a daisy at mile 8. But you know what really makes this hum? The volunteers. Everyone that comes out year after year to help make not only this aid station great, but there's 12,000 volunteers along the entire course. Anna, you're here this morning. I understand you were possibly going to run the marathon. What happened?
So I actually have my bib with me too. I was training all summer. I got to my 15-mile run and I injured my knee. It was a kind of a chronic thing. So I took myself out of it for safety, but I figured I might as well cheer on my fellow runners that I've been running with all summer.
and support them. I understand that feeling because you put so much time and training into this. You still wanted to be a part of this day. So far, what's your impression of everyone out here and the team out here?
I mean, this is amazing. The energy is like electric. It's only 7 a.m. and everyone is out running around. It's just a great day to be in Chicago.
It's never too early for sequins. I've always said that. And is this your father here?
This is my dad.
Yes, hi.
To come out here and be a part of this day.
I think it's great. You know, we wanted to come and support her for running, but unfortunately we had a setback. And so today the second best thing would be to come out and volunteer and help out as much as we can for the event.
Do you think this is one of Chicago's best days as a city?
I think so. I think this shows how great the city comes together and, you know, shows our Chicago pride and proudness of what our city is all about.
You said it, pride. Pride is what Lakeview and Mile 8 is all about. We'll send it back to you.
Welcome back to the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I'm Carol Marine, just ahead of the elite runners. They're being greeted by very enthusiastic crowds here on State Street, headed towards the Loop. So many know it as that great street from the song Chicago made famous with Frank Sinatra. Remember, he sang about that toddling town, but Marion and Siafa, no one is toddling on State Street right now. They're running.
You got that right, Carol. Thanks so much. And we are looking right now at past champions Mo Farah from 2018 and Galen Rupp from 2017. These are former training partners, used to be better friends. And there's a bit of news that's come around in the running world that relates to Farah's former coach and Galen Rupp's current coach, Alberto Salazar, banned from coaching for the next 4 years. And then just days later, the Nike Oregon project was disbanded, which is the project that he coached out in Oregon, where he's trying to really get American runners to compete more actively with the East Africans. Big news in the running world.
Huge news, you know, and you have to tiptoe through it so carefully.
He also coaches Jordan Hesse, I wanted to say. What kind of impact does it have on an athlete like Galen, like Jordan, when your coach is suspended a short while before a major race like that?
Well, he is no longer Galen's coach or Jordan Hesse's coach. You know, as of about 10 or 12 days ago, he's banned from coaching anybody, even having communication with them. But actually, I mean, Ed, you know this better than me. You're a good class marathon runner. 99% of their preparation was done 10 days ago. You know, this last run, they're easing off.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks essentially is taper time, and so their communication, and they both said that they have not talked to him personally. And Jordan Hesse made a point that she was with her family. She was just doing her own tapering workouts anyway. She's done this before. So I think that contact the last two weeks in terms of actual training, not as important. The psychological component, though, however, when you have a coach, particularly in Galen Rupp's situation, where he really has not even run a race since maybe the age of 15 or 16 without Alberto Salazar being right there. That is a little bit harder to measure. And I think both athletes have had to kind of deal with that, and it'll be interesting to see how things fare today.
We want to point out that he was actually suspended. He's been accused of drug doping. So that's part of the issue here. And none of the runners has tested positive. We really want to make that point at this point. None of these runners has tested positive ever.
It's a unique situation. You know, it's kind of like there's a smoking gun, but no body. You know, it's a really weird situation, and you know, I think there was intent, is what USADA were upset about, and is what they've nailed him on.
The U.S.
and banned for 4 years, but actually, there is no absolute proof that he has doped a single athlete.
So there you go. So really, he's going to appeal it. Alberto Salazar has already said he's going to appeal this, and so maybe we'll learn more about exactly what went down and exactly why he was suspended at some point. All right, we want to check in on the women's elite group, see how they're doing. Brigette Casca looks like she's doing quite well as she's taken the lead already. Carrie Tolleson is out there with the lead pack on Moto 3. Carrie.
Hey, you guys, it might be cold for temperature reasons, but it's hot out here right now. They are under 10-minute pace at the 2 mile mark. So they went through a 9:54. They are going fast here. Brigette Casca, Yashana is right behind her. And I want to say the entire men's pack, the second pack, is right behind her. And all those guys are trying to run under 2:12. So these ladies are out fast with their 2 pacemakers. And it's going to be a great race right now. It looks like Brigette Casca is very smooth. She does not have a watch on. She's not paying attention to the clock. She's watching her 2 pacemakers. So they have to be careful to lead her through at the right tempo. But you guys, right now, she is on a mission. I know that that world record is on her mind, and she's going for it.
All right, Carrie, she is going to be the one to watch in this race, and it's going to be exciting. All right, we want to check in now with Alicia Roman. She's got a special guest with her down near the cheer section. Alicia.
Hi, Marion. I was joking all week. This is my pal Paul, because we've been together for the last 5 years at least. Paul Lambert, Bank of America Chicago market president. And you guys, you may not notice, but Paul, we're standing in like a landfill of clothes.
Yes. Well, you know what's great about this marathon is it's cool, which is awesome for the runners, but it's even better for Chicago. 9 tons of clothing gets shed, which actually gets picked up and given to all the local charities. So we've got like a really nice sweatshirt here. We got a really cool blanket.
I mean, I thought this was a shower curtain, keeping people warm.
Yeah. So, and you know what's great is 11,000 of the 45,000 runners run for charity. $22.7 million raised last year. It's such a great part of this marathon is the give back and the aspect of giving back to the community.
And you have to think there's over 45,000 runners out here, and it's a little chilly this morning, guys. The temperature's in the upper 30s, low 40s. We have a little bit of a wind. The winds will pick up, but yeah, they're all covered. So there's a lot of good coming out of this from these clothes that they are throwing essentially to the ground.
Yeah, no, it's just this unbelievable celebration of the city. So exciting morning, really excited to see, hopefully break a world record. Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Thank you.
I know, well, we're so excited. We'll have more with you, of course, later on in the broadcast. We're together all the time. I just love it. Remember that one year when we were racing each other? You were running, and you haven't ran since, right?
Yeah, the last 3 years I've been a spectator. My kids have run, which is awesome. So, but I've seen it from all sides, which is just fantastic. I'm going to be back in next year, I promise.
Will you?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. You guys heard it here. Paul Lambert, thank you so much. Right. Always good to talk to you. We'll talk to you in a couple more hours at the end of the race. At the end of the race. At the end of the race. We'll send it back to you guys. Back to you, Siafa and Marion.
Thanks, Alicia, and thank you very much to Paul. We've got to take a quick break, but stay with us for more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
I'm reporter Jorge de Santiago, live from Pilsen. I'm at mile marker 1920. And let me just tell you, in my own opinion, I think I'm at the best place because here you get to live the excitement, the people, the emotions. Let me step right out of the way so you can see, because organizers are already out here early on. Volunteers were early on out here. They're getting ready for those athletes to go by here and just help them out with water, just giving them energy. Because, you know, at mile 1920, they're about exhausted, but you know what? This is where they're going to get all their energy. And let me ask Alejandra, and Mike to join me for this live shot. So you guys are part of the Midway Mile Chasers, and this means a lot for you guys. Why does this marathon mean so much for you guys?
Well, it means a lot because a lot of our friends are running it, first of all, and we each joined the group for different reasons, but being part of the training, the development, the progression that they've gone through, the aches and pains, exposure to the weather elements, it's really inspiring. So being here now and seeing them really participate in the goal and achieving it is probably the best thing.
For you, it means just a little more. What went on? What does it mean more for you?
Well, for me, it's a little bit more personal. I
was going through surgery last year, and then I had a pulmonary embolism, and as a result, I ran a 5K 2 weeks later, and I was able to accomplish it. So then I started running with the group. I got invited, and it was amazing because you get all the support and all the help from everyone, the love. It's something that you cannot express.
Thank you so much for joining us for this live shot. And we're at Pilsen neighborhood, mile 1920, where the excitement is just building up, and we're all ready for this marathons to go by. Back to you guys.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. You can see the lead pack right there. Todd Williams is out with them on one of the motos. How are they looking from your vantage point, Todd?
But, you know, from the gun, it's really strung out. The pace setters are doing their job. You've got 440, 448, 444. Chumba, the 2015 champ, has been right in the lead from the front. He dropped back a little bit at the water station, but right now it's a pack of 9. Mo's off the back a little bit, but Rupp is, I guess, 9th off the pack. But it's definitely strung out. They're on 2:04.20 pace at this point, getting ready to head into the 4-mile mark.
All right, Todd Williams out there. I know you will be keeping us posted on how they look directly from the field. And, you know, today's going to be a very emotional day for many runners out there. No one more so than a woman that is now standing by was Zoraida Samblin. She's at the start line. Zoraida, this woman has an amazing, amazing story.
Yeah, you know, I think we all know the name Eduardo Marmolejo in the news media and probably the entire city of Chicago. And I would say that probably across the nation because it gripped our hearts. Maria Marmolejo and Rogelio Marmolejo. And I know that this was a tough story for everybody. We're very, very sorry for your loss. So grateful for your husband. He was responding to shots fired and sadly and tragically lost his life. You ran the marathon with him last year, and you're here again to run again. Tell me how that feels.
It's just me trying to definitely run in his honor, but honestly just run because he's no longer here. And I'm counting on him to run with me, by me, and I'm running for him. And that's just all it is.
And you're carrying him close to you, I see, because you have a picture here.
Yes, a picture of us, another picture down here. You know, yeah, he's always going to be with me. It's just, that's all it's about. It really is just me getting through it, me getting a lot off my chest, doing something by myself and doing something that I probably didn't think I could do by myself or without him. And that's all you have to do is just get up and get going.
But today, standing by your side is his brother, Rogelio, running also in his honor today?
Yes, in his honor. I'm actually wearing a shirt he wore last year, so I'll put it on, yeah. So he'll be running with me the whole time till the end.
And how are your children doing?
Rebecca, Maddie, Sophie, they're doing really well. They're going to be here at the finish line. They're doing the best they can, you know, and they remind me of their father every single day.
And I know you have felt the support that everybody has thrown in your direction, including the police department.
Yeah, we have a few officers actually running with us and near us in full uniform. So it's a great reminder of the support that we will and continue to have for the rest of our lives. Sometimes it's a little hard. It's a little hard to see other officers walking around when your husband didn't come home from work one day. And but overall, I appreciate the support. And today's just about me trying to finish something and know that I'll be able to finish everything for the rest of my life.
Well, we thank you again so much for your husband, for the sacrifice that your family has made. Thank you. Good luck today.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to send it back to you guys.
And we certainly do thank her and her husband for his sacrifice for the city of Chicago. Our thanks to Zoraida with Ms. Marmolejo.
Yeah, very touching, emotional story. Wish her best of luck today. We discussed her before this race began, and we're seeing it unfold here. Brigette Casca is currently on a world record pace. Let's head down to Carrie Thompson, who is in the moto with Brigette, who's blowing the field away right now. Carrie?
It was a dramatic move. I like
Yeah, Brigette is starting to settle in now, and I'm thinking this is where she should be. She's behind her two male pace setters. She went out really hard, and I think the pace setters are used to running that hard. You know, these guys are used to running 210 or under, so they had to settle down too. But Brigette looks good. She looks calm. She's all alone now. No one is with her on the female side. She went through just over 20 minutes through the 4 mile mark. She needs to settle in right around that 5:10 pace to be on Paula Radcliffe's record. So right now, you know, early on in the race, she looks good. I do think she was a little concerned knowing that she was running pretty fast, but I don't see a watch on her. I don't see her glancing at the clock. She's just settling in and trying to stay focused.
Well, this pace from Casca is insane. She went through 5K in 15:28. That's 2:10 pace. I mean, it is astonishing, unprecedented, much quicker than Paula Radcliffe in her world record.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if it's not the pace setters' fault more so than Brigette Casca's, because I think that they are also kind of amped up for this event, and the fact that she's right on their heels. I mean, early on like this, I would think that pace setters would have to hone down. They were supposed to come through at 68-minute half marathon pace. They're actually at 65-minute half marathon pace right now. So I kind of fault the pace setters right now. They need to get their act together. They're getting paid big money. I think they need to slow it down and say, okay, we're going fast enough. Unless she herself has said, hey, we got to pick it up, we got to pick it up, we got to pick it up. But this is really too fast.
What's the danger here, Ed?
Well, the danger is you're going to exhaust all the glycogen that is in your muscles, and the last little bit you're going to have to depend on burning fat, which is not as an explosive of a fuel. You're basically going to hit the wall that much earlier.
Sooner. Do you know, I remember Mary Kaitani when she was still learning marathon running. She's the greatest marathon runner in history in many respects if you look at her last 10 years of racing. But a few years ago, she went out in New York at world record tempo. She went 67.5 or something through halfway at the New York Marathon, which is not a fast course, it's not a flat course, and she blew. I mean, she misjudged it pretty dramatically and really hung on. I think she ended up coming 3rd place. And I just get that impression about Brigette Casca here today. We know she's special. We know she's possibly got a world record in those legs, but she has overcooked it so far. She's going to have to really reset.
Yeah.
Is that how hard is it to dial back?
Well, I think we're seeing it dial back right now. I think that enthusiasm and adrenaline now is kind of starting to ease off, and she should know her pace, and the pace setters should also know that pace and back down so that they are being more in control.
All right, so we shall see what happens. Okay, we're going to hit the break right now. Do not go anywhere. As you can see, there is a lot to learn and a lot to know about how these races are run. We've got two of the best analysts in the business to help break it all down for us. Stay with us. We'll be back with more of the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Good morning from Chinatown. This is mile 22 along the Bank of America Chicago Marathon course. It's nice and early. As you guys know, the elites just stepped off those first corrals, and that first wave is just getting started, coming out of Grant Park and heading north. So we're a little bit away from seeing any runners, but spectators are coming down here at this point. We have plenty of authorities out here. The biofree zone is getting set up just right down the street where runners can start to get ointment on their legs if they start to cramp up in some of the final miles. Right behind me, we have the Chinese lion. Now, this is the entertainment that runners and spectators are going to see here in Chinatown all morning. It's the most colorful neighborhood on the Chicago Marathon route. They are ready to be marching all over, up and down the street, along with the runners, and for that extra motivation in the later miles when they really need it, when they really need to dig deep and they need somebody there. This is a great spot for all of that to be. And coming under the pagoda here, look at this, is so historic, so beautiful. We're going to talk to some experts in the neighborhood later and see a little bit about the culture and what it means to the culture and what parts we are going to see throughout the race today. Some of the spectators' favorite parts is the food in Chinatown. The Chinese bakery, the buns, the fortune cookies, the almond cookies, all of those businesses just starting to open and starting to serve the people that are lining up here on Cermak at Wentworth in Chinatown. Mile 22 of the Chicago Marathon. I'll be here all morning. Can't wait to check back in and show you guys some runners live in Chinatown. I'm Jen DeSalvo, NBC 5 News.
There ain't a reason you and me should be alone tonight.
And welcome back to the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We're taking a look here at the men's wheelchair racers. A little bit a slower pace at this point, right?
Well, it looks like it, yeah, and we're hearing that the wind is really strong out there and affecting these fellas. But, you know, there was a pack of them went through 10K in 21:37, 15K 32:28, and still a pack. But it looks to me, as we're speaking, as though maybe that's beginning to break up a bit. You know, really early on then, we saw Romanchuk go out really hard to try and maybe lay it down, but he's obviously thought better of that.
Yeah, Romanchuk's back in third, fourth place right now, and they are taking turns with the lead. It is a windy day, and when they do that, they will draft off one another early on in the portion of the race. Right now, number 204, that's Nishida from Japan, that's taking the lead, taking his turn up front, and Romanchuk there is with the yellow helmet and the red. But again, working together, but on a windy day like today, it really wreaks havoc, I think more so on the wheelchairs than for the runners.
Why more so?
I think just the fact that they, when they hit that wind, it's just very difficult for them. I think the runners are a little bit more narrow as they cut their way through the wind.
All right, let's check in now with the elite men. Are we going to go to Todd Williams, or are we just going to take a look at him? I think we'll take a look at him. Here's the Pacers. What pace are they on? How are they looking?
Well, they're moving pretty well. I mean, they went through 5K, the fellas, in 14:45. They're on about 2:04.5 tempo at the moment, and that's a nice pack. How many in there behind the two pacemakers? About 7 guys, 8 guys?
It's like 8 guys.
8, 9.
So we have the synergy of the people that we need to have, and Galen Rupp there has been towards the back of the pack the entire time, which we kind of expect that from him. It'll be interesting as they come through their fluid stations here to see who grabs their water bottles, their elite fluids that they're going to take on. Galen Rupp, it's always, this is where I've seen more runners fall, is at these fluid stations than anything else, because it is a kind of an intricate dance as they get their specially prepared fluids. Galen Rupp is at the back of that pack, and again, question marks coming in with him because he has not raced for over a year, had Achilles tendon surgery just shortly after the race last year, but it looks like he's pieced things together, and you know, I said coming in this, I think he would be happy with a 2:10 effort today, but he's certainly running faster than that right now.
All right. Hold on right now. We've got 10 seconds till the second wave takes off. This is the next group of runners that's about to take off for the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Let's watch them take off. And they are off. I bet they've got those butterflies going as well. They've been ready to make it roll and get it going. A lot of people running for charity, a lot of people running for personal best, just achievements on their own. A lot of people make marathons something of a bucket list, and then they kind of get addicted, I think.
Well, and a lot of people probably wonder, why do they do waves in marathons? Why do they send off 5,000 or whatever the size of the wave is and then wait a few minutes before the next wave goes? Well, first of all, it means that all these athletes get that experience of the start and the booming music and that sense, that atmosphere. But secondly, it spreads the pressure on the resources along the course, the water stations, the feed stations, and so on. And of course, the lead runners of this second group will gradually join up with the tail enders of the first group. Sure. So it just spreads the runners along the course in a nice even way, and they're not too bunched.
And it's a lot for the spectators as well to see. It's good to see, keep it coming, keeping folks coming so people can get excited about them.
Absolutely.
All right, we have something special this year, guys. We want you to take a look at your screen. Yeah, you should be watching anyway to see if you can see any familiar faces in there. But we also have a QR code. This is a really cool code that you can put your camera phone on, the phone on your camera, point it toward the QR code. This will take you to the NBC Chicago app. Now, the NBC Chicago app will have this race continuously, even after we go off the air at 11 o'clock, so you can watch a friend or a loved one that might be coming through. You can watch it all day long. We'll have a lot of great marathon content there. We've also got all your news and weather. If you want to check the weather and see how the wind is doing, that may affect one of your loved ones or a friend that you may have out there running. So all you have to do, again, is point the camera on your phone to the QR code. That will direct you right to the NBC Chicago app. We've done it here before. It's a really cool feature and a very easy way to get right to the NBC Chicago app.
Tons of information and content.
Tons of information. It's good stuff. So excited. Look at that. There's still thousands and thousands to go. We do have a third wave to come as well.
I love this right here.
I do. I love it too.
Just the humanity of it.
This is when you start seeing, all walks of life.
Yes.
You've got, your moms and your dads and your grandmas and your little ones, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
All ethnicities, colors.
All ethnicities from all over the world. Again, we have all 50 wards represented. We have 29 neighborhoods that they get to visit.
135 countries.
And 135 countries.
50 states. It's amazing.
Absolutely cool. And 1.7 million spectators cheering them along the way.
Marion knows them all.
Each one of them, personally. All right, so our elite runners, you guys, let's talk a little bit more about the water stations as we went through. What exactly, because all of these elite runners that are running, they're picking up their specific fluids. There's something particularly that they're going
And they're very deliberate with it.
Well, the elite athletes handed in 8 bottles last night. They're refrigerated overnight, and those 8 bottles are spread out along the course at the stations every 5K, about every 3 miles. They get a personal drink.
Yeah, and what we saw at that water station is we saw Galen Rupp get stretched out, and I'd like to hear from Todd to see what's going on there, because it looks like Galen has dropped from that lead pack. Todd, can you hear me?
Yeah, about a mile ago, he was looking back to see if there anybody else he could run with, and then it just like the band broke, and now he's in 9th place, falling off the back of this lead pack. We've got a pack of 8 now with Mo in there, but Gerono's in 2nd of the pack. He's taking the lead, but most of the time so far through 7 miles, which is 2:04 pace, Chumba's really done a good job. I was looking at Chumba's stats, thinking about this is his 20th marathon. He's averaged 2:07 over those first 19. He's really looking good right now. Kuroki's in there, and Gerono is now up with the 2 pacers and looking really comfortable. But yeah, Rupp is off the back, and he's going to have a long last 20 miles.
Todd, do you think it was just a conscious effort on Rupp's part, knowing that he's probably not in 2:04 shape right now, so he's just backing off? I would hate to think that he's hurting at this point in time.
He still looks okay. I think he's probably, and we touched on this at the beginning, I think he just wants a really solid effort. He went out with it, averaging 4:43, 4:44, but now he's probably feeling a little bit. He probably wants to finish this thing with a good effort going into the Olympic trials. But he is going to be solo the rest of the way.
The thing is that, 2:04 is way quicker than Galen Rupp has ever run before. We've got to remember that the guy's PR is 2:06, so he is not only coming back from a year without racing, with a few question marks in his own mind, surely, but he's gone out at something that he's in territory he's never been before. So, yeah, he's had to commit, but now he's isolated, and you're dead right, Todd. It could be a really tough next period.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move on his part, realizing he's not in 2:04 shape. I mean, even at his best, 2:06 is his PR. And so right now he's just ratcheting it back and going, okay, this is going to be the loneliness of the long distance runner here for the next 20 miles. I'm going to try to hone in on this and try to run a very good, maybe kind of time trial effort on his own, and looking at people who are gradually going to be dropping back. He's going to be catching those people.
And psychologically, look, he's coming back from a year off because of an injury. He probably doesn't want to have any mistakes happen either, where he ends up either re-injuring himself or really affecting his ability to do well at the trials.
And
right.
He even alluded on Friday to the fact that his training was a little unorthodox because of the health issues that
And
he
that makes
experienced.
sense.
Yeah, masses of swimming, tons of hours in the pool, where you're obviously you're sort of simulating the running action, but there's no weight-bearing stress.
Right.
The best thing for Galen to do today is just to have a nice, solid effort, kind of leading the way for the U.S. Olympic trials coming up in the end of February. If he can run in the 2:10 range, I think he would be happy with today's efforts.
I think you're right. All right, let's stay with us now. We're going to check back in with the runners when we come back from the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Don't go anywhere.
Is that Lithuania? Yeah, over 100 countries from around the world.
My name is Tim Hedzima, and I am the Executive Director of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. We are a family of the 6 largest and most renowned marathons on the planet, including Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, New York City, and of course here with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
It's an opportunity for the 6 great events to collaborate on different levels, but also to recognize some of the great wheelchair athletes and Paralympic athletes that we have, some of the greatest runners in the world that will compete across these 6 great events. I think it's elevated the sport of marathon running. I think the sharing of best practices has allowed us to improve race day runner experience for our participants. It's allowed us to talk about and elevate the awareness of the charity programs in our events. So it's been an exciting journey for us, and there's still more to come.
This year, Series 13 will begin in Chicago. The series offers a way to recognize the achievements of both professional and amateur athletes. Our professional athletes compete for the top spot on the leaderboard and a share of our $820,000 prize purse.
Series 13 kicking off in Chicago is a big deal for us. It's the home of Abbott, our title sponsor, and to move the kickoff of this season 13 with the wheelchair athletes and everything that's going on with what's going to happen on race day and the field that we have. It's going to really, I think, launch Series 13 in a really unique way.
On the amateur side, we have several hundred runners this year aiming for the highly coveted 6-star finisher medal here in Chicago. This is awarded to runners that have finished all 6 of our events in their lifetime. The second year of the Abbott World Marathon Majors Wanda Age Group World Rankings also begin here in Chicago, a series of 175 marathons across 6 continents that are qualifying events for a 2021 Age Group World Championship. Whether you're running for your 1st star or your 6th star here at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, we can't wait to celebrate with you in October.
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. I'm Kai Martin on course in Boys Town, mile 8, the best aid station. I am joined by some of the 12,000 volunteers on course for the runners. We have Miss Janet Jackson and Cher with us. I'm so glad you could make the trip to Chicago. First of all, what is it like out here and the attitude as we get ready for the elites to come down?
I love my fans. I'm so thankful for all of them. They just bring such good energy, and I love you all. Love you all.
What is it like to provide that extra spark to the runners as they come through? Does it give you an extra spark?
That's why we do this. I mean, they're coming around, and we just want them to feel like they're having a good time and getting an extra spark, like you said, and giving whatever we can do to help get them through this, because that's pretty awesome. They're running something like this, so that's why we're here.
They're still fresh at this point. You know, it's mile 8. They're taking their Gatorade. Do people dance with you as they run?
Yeah, there are a lot of dancing and a lot of selfies. We have to stop mid-routine sometimes and do a selfie, and it's so much fun because they get that memory for the rest of their life.
Thank you, Cher. Thank you, Janet. How many years have you been volunteering here?
4 for me.
3 for me.
You find people come back again and again, part of this community.
Yeah, we love it. We love seeing familiar faces, and it's just such a great group of people out here. Really, really grateful for them.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Cher. Gosh, we have so many celebrities out here. We have Britney Spears. The elites should be coming through any minute. Here they are. Take a look. Marion and Siapa. They're There's the motorcade. They should be coming through any moment.
And there's some news happening, actually, as we speak. Tim,
Absolutely. Mo Farah dropped back maybe 30, 40 meters from this lead group. The pacemakers are unrelentingly sticking to a tempo of around 2:04, 2 hours, 4 minutes, 20 seconds. They're heading, we knew they would try and go for 62 minutes at halfway. But Ed, I'm a little shocked that Mo Farah is back off this group of 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going through a bad patch or what, but and is that Abdi Bashir, his training partner with him with the yellow arm sleeves? That is Mo Farah in the all red back there. This is unexpected.
Well, it is, especially when you have 6 other athletes that have decided to continue with those pace setters. And again, I think this might be a conscious decision on Mo's part. Just going, 2:04 right now. Maybe it's too cold. Maybe it's too windy. I don't think I can maintain this. I think the fact that Bashir Abdi is with him and is his training partner would indicate that they have decided to do this together. But they're at least 3, 4, 5 seconds off of that lead pack right now. And so he's kind of reaching towards his side right now. Not a good sign for Mo Farah, particularly if there was just one runner up there ahead and they had dropped back, then maybe I would think that's fine. But the fact that there's 5, 6 guys in there, it's going to be difficult. But we'll see. We'll see how the next few miles unfold. We'll see. Maybe they're running kind of like Brigette Casca is, maybe a little bit too ambitious, and so he's just running his own pace.
Well, I would understand Mo being back there if they were going out at 61-minute flat tempo, but they're not. They're at 62, outside 62 minute for the half marathon tempo. Mo's been and gone in the last 2 Londons. He's gone much quicker than this. So, yeah, it's really cold.
And the gap is widening, actually, as you have this conversation.
It's widening pretty quickly.
And of course, entering this race, there are 5 men in this field who've run faster personal bests than Mo's.
Mo going through 9 miles there and about 42.50, which is, we'll extrapolate from that. But, he's running quick, but that gap is growing every minute. There's another few meters being put on that gap. And I'm not quite sure what is going through the mind of Mo Farah.
Well, it could be a lot of the pressure that he's undergone in the last 2 weeks with the Alberto Salazar saga. We shall see.
Yeah, he has been asked a lot of questions, even though it's been 2 years since he was coached by Salazar. At every press conference, and you know how aggressive the British press can be, Tim, specifically, they have been hounding him repeatedly. They even sent folks down to Flagstaff where he trained to try to find him, to ask him more questions about his training. So he is feeling that pressure. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
There's also the fact that since 1977, only 5 men have won this race in back-to-back years. So it's a hard feat to accomplish.
Yeah, but Mo's used to that pressure. He's a very, very experienced guy. They've been locked away in that isolation effectively in Flagstaff. So they've been away from the pressures. Mo's apparently, Gary was saying to me last night, his coach, that he spends nearly all day on his phone when he's not running. So he is reading stuff.
Yes.
He's aware of what's going on out there.
He's very aware.
He's pretty good at absorbing those pressures and doing what needs to be done. I'm hoping that this is either a willful tactic or he's just going through a bad patch. But, when he won his Olympic titles and his world titles on the track, he would often be at the back of the pack. There'd be 20 guys strung out in front of him, and he'd be right at the back, and he'd bide his time and just gradually move up mid-race, and then they'd be there when you came to the business end of the race. This is a long, long way from the business end of the race, so it is concerning.
All right, let's check in now with Brigette Casca. Carrie Tolleson is in front of our female leader. How's she looking there, Carrie?
Well, Brigette looks good. She's really focusing on her pacemakers right now. She can finally see the truck in front of her with her paces. And so they have settled down. Her last mile was 5:10. That's her slowest mile. So you guys, she's still on well under world record pace. And one thing that we do have to talk about, she's coming into this race running so much faster this year than she did last year. Her tune-up last year was 67 minutes. This year, it was 64 minutes. She knows how to win in big margins, and so she has her sights on this time and this win. She looks super smooth. She's sort of telling the pacers at times to move over. She was clipping their feet at times. So I've been hearing you guys, and I know she's out fast, but she does look really good right now. She's got a long way to go, but you can tell she's on a mission.
Yeah, well, Carrie, that last mile you said was 5:10. Now, 5:10 is the pace she needs to run 2:15:25 if she ran that from the start. But she went out so much faster than that. You say she looks comfortable, though, at this 5:10 pace. Do you think the Rabbits now have in mind that this is a good pace for her and they can continue on? And can she settle and hold this 5:10 pace for the rest of the race?
Yeah, you know, I hope she didn't go out too fast in that first 4 miles, but she has now settled into this 5:10. The Pacers are paying more attention to their own clocks. They're kind of communicating a little bit more, and I do think they are on this pace, and they're going to stay here. She knows where the wind is at times. She's moving closer to them when she needs to. She's backing off when she can. So I just feel like now the race has begun. I just hope she didn't go out too hard too early and spend too much energy in that first 5K.
All right, thank you so much, Carrie. We'll check in with you again a little bit later. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more from the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
This is Carol Marine at the Bank of Chicago Marathon. We are at mile marker 10. I'm in the lead truck right in front of the elite runners. And please, don't think me shallow, but I love those pink shoes these guys are wearing. It is amazing. They are running with very little on, but the spectators are as layered up as all of us. And yet there is such enthusiasm on these streets. We're just south of Francis Parker School. Now reaching Francis Parker School, there's music, there's water, there are volunteers, there's generosity, because this city turns out people who, and it always amazed me when I was running, why in the world would people come out to watch crazy runners going 26.2 miles? But they do, with bells and whistles and bullhorns. It's a remarkable sight. The runners, and now we've just lost sight of them for a second, but sorry, we're turning the corner at Webster and Sedgwick at the moment. We are almost halfway through this marathon. Boys Town was phenomenal, I must tell you. I love Boys Town every time we come through it. Elvis impersonators, there was Cher, it was fabulous, Janis Jackson. So there's a sense out here, there's a feeling out here of all the possibilities that you can achieve when you do a marathon, when you run this race. From the lead truck in front of the elite runners, I'm Carol Marine. Back to our coverage.
And welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. You're looking at the elite men. A big gap has grown here between
yeah, you can see Farah
and Mo Farah, last year's defending champion in the red, and then behind him,
Galen Rupp.
Galen Rupp. I don't even see Galen Rupp at this point. All right. Series 12 of the Abbott World Marathon Majors came to a close in Berlin this year, crowning champions in the men's and women's elite field along with the men's and women's wheelchair racers. As you can see, 3 of the champions are competing here in Chicago today. And the Bank of America Chicago Marathon is the crown jewel of the Abbott World Marathon Major Series 13. Today is the first race in the series, although the men's marathon results at the IAAF World Championships last month do count toward the series. The other races in the competition include the New York City Marathon, the Tokyo Marathon, the Boston Marathon, the London Marathon, the Olympic Marathon, which will be in Tokyo, the Berlin Marathon, and Series 13 concludes at next year's Chicago Marathon when 4 champions will once again be crowned.
All right, and we're going to check back in with some of the athletes. Specifically right now, we want to look at the women's wheelchair. There's Tatyana Mcfadden. We don't know where she is in the pack right now, but she looks pretty strong. She has dealt with a lot of. Oh, there's the leaderboard right there. Flores first, McFadden second, Scaroni, Shar, and De Rosario.
Yeah, that picture is Manuela Shar, 251 right now, and I don't know if she's taken the lead at this point, but that she is pushing very hard. Last we heard was that she has broken away from another pack of Susanna Scaroni, Tatyana Mcfadden, Amanda McRory. I think Manuela Shar realizes with the kicking ability of Tatyana Mcfadden, it's good for her to get a bit of a lead, so she doesn't have to have a sprint finish with McFadden, who is one of the all-time greats.
My bad.
No, this is Shar.
That is Shar, yeah.
What we have to remember is that Manuela Shar holds the world record. You know, on a fast, valid course, she has the world record. This is a fast, valid course, so it absolutely suits her strong points. You know, Tatyana Mcfadden, really, really powerful. She's probably good on hills, maybe better than Shar on hills, but there are no hills on this course. So Shar here playing to her strength. And if somebody adopts this tactic, you know, wheelchair racing or in able-bodied racing, these guys go flat out. If somebody goes flat out, there is no tactic you can do to contend with that. Right. What are you going to do? Rugby tackle them? I mean, you can't pull them wrestle them to the ground.
You wonder. And she does look like she's by herself right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's check in with the men's elite field. Who's up? You got Karakai there. I can't see all the names. But what's the pace? What pace?
Chumba's up front. He was our Chicago Marathon champ back in 2015 and has run 2:04:32 when he finished third. So he's looking very strong. Pack of six guys that you would think would be in there. Again, we have six that have run under 2:06, and we've got a couple in that pack who haven't run quite that fast, but they're taking advantage of just an ideal day. I don't think the wind is as heavy as we had initially thought it might be. So just great conditions. And there in the back, just making that turn, we see Sir Mo, and look at that. Galen Rupp is hooked up with them. That's great.
But these six fellas, you know, they will be aware that Mo Farah has dropped back off them. I'm sure they will have had the odd glance back at. They've done corners where you get an opportunity to look, to check across, and they will not want to let up here. This is a major point in the race. Well, Mo Farah to have dropped back by 100 meters maybe, but well before halfway. I mean, 53 minutes on the clock. They're not going to be at halfway for another 8 or 9 minutes. They will redouble their efforts here to make sure this stays at a decent size, this gap, if it doesn't grow.
And now they're heading south. From what I understand earlier, the wind was going to be more of a factor when they started heading south. So we'll see if it does have any effect. You guys don't seem to think the wind will be a huge deal for these runners.
Well, I think it would be if it was up a little higher, but to me it doesn't seem like it's blowing as heavy as we thought it was going to be. And certainly as they're running behind the pace setters, and that wind is buffered somewhat, and the fact that there are six other guys that are in that pack, they can kind of hide behind one another as they go into the wind. But you're right, they are running south right now. The wind is coming from the southwest, so this would be a time when they're going to start feeling those gusts.
Yeah, you don't see too much going with some of those flags that we saw just a few minutes ago, so it didn't look too bad for them.
But these fellas will be communicating, I'm sure. You know, Chumba can tell these pacemakers, keep it going, boys, and let's push it along a little bit. There will be that sort of communication and encouragement from these athletes immediately behind the two pacemakers. They're pace 1 and 2. That's Elliot Koech's pace 1, pace 2 is Emmanuel Sainer. They were due to go out at 62-minute tempo, and to be fair to them, they're doing a great job. They're within a few seconds of that at each time the split comes through. And this men's field, they've gone through 15K in 44:10. That's 2:04:20 pace. So within a very few seconds, they're doing a great job, those two pacemakers, and it's kind of Mo Farah who hasn't stuck to the plan.
I think the men's pacemakers are doing a better job than the women's pacemakers in terms of the women's pacemakers. I think got caught up in the emotions a little bit early on, went out a little too hot and heavy for Brigette Casca. Now things have settled down. They've had 3 or 4 miles to get in control, and now she's running her 5-10 miles, which is good for her. I just hope those initial 3 or 4 ambitious miles haven't sacrificed what would be otherwise perhaps been a world record attempt.
Who dictates what the pacemakers are doing? The lead of the pack, or how do they communicate?
Well, the pacemakers actually should stick to the agreed plan. You know, they shouldn't be running under the orders of the 2 or 3 guys behind them, certainly at this point before halfway. I think it's the latter stages of the race, and if pacemakers are still there at 20 miles, at
28, 30K, then there may be a little bit of leeway. But actually, it's kind of the dumb thing is to stick to the plan, so that Mo Farah needs to know that they're going to run 62 pace, those pacemakers, and he has a chance of closing up on them. They shouldn't really be responding to the athletes around them, and I know I mentioned it just now. They shouldn't be accelerating to 61.30 tempo to drag that pack further away from Mo, because that is not, as we would say in English, that's not cricket. That's not what was planned.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's check in now with Carrie Tolleson. She is in the moto following our leader on the women's side of the race, Brigette Casca. How's she looking now, Carrie?
She looks the same, you guys. She's just, clipping away. But she did run a 5:15 last mile. The Pacers brought it down a little bit. So we had a 5:10, 5:10, then a 5:15. So it's going to be interesting to see what we come up on 11 here and see where she's at. She looks good. She looks like she's taken in her fluids. Not a lot of fluid. I know it's a cooler day. She takes just a sip and then she puts it back or throws it to the side. But, right now she just really is kind of going through the motions. And this is where she kind of started to get a little antsy last year. We went through about 15K with a big pack of 5. And then we got right before the half marathon, and then she started to really crank it down. Today's race is totally different. She's not going to be able to crank it down like she did. She's got to maintain right now in order to keep that world record pace within reach. She's definitely still on it, but she has to keep in mind this is a big race for her to win still, so we can't see anyone behind her. But she looks great right now.
Right.
The strategy, clearly she is the leader in the race right now. Not just this race, but just in the running. As a marathoner, right now, she's like the top woman out there. The strategy, because we've seen her over the years, but lately, the last few races, she's been dominant.
Well, she has, but she was 50.58 at 10 miles. Paula Radcliffe and her world record is 51.48.
Okay.
So she is 50 seconds quicker than Paul, nearly a minute quicker at 10 miles.
Carrie made an excellent point, though, in that most of her major marathons in the past, she has negative splitted, meaning she's come back a lot harder the second half than the first half. Now, she's not going to be doing that today because she's gone out way hard in this first half, and it's going to be tough.
And that was your concern initially.
That was my concern initially, and I'm wondering if the fatigue level will allow her to even run close to what she ran over the first half.
Or is this part of her plan?
I don't think it's part of the plan. I think the pace setters maybe got a little too ambitious early on, and because she has been such a great fast finisher, I would have thought that she would have wanted to at least run an even pace. She's not wanted to run a positive pace, which is where you go out too hard, because then you just hurt that much more because you're in that pain zone for an extended period of time. You want to be in the pain zone for as little as possible right there towards the end. And we'll see. She's a tremendous athlete. I hope that she can pull it off. If she does, it'll be monumental, though, having gone out that hard that first 5K.
It will. All right. Don't go away. Lot to watch as we are watching the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Stay with us.
From Wacker and Franklin, this is the halfway point. We're talking 13.1 miles. A lot of the wheelchair participants have made their way through. Now we're at this point waiting for some of the elite runners to make their way through. This is an exciting race this morning, though. We have some past champions, Olympians, Paralympians, the strong team, all of them making their way through here this morning. They all are competing with confidence. And let's talk about what it takes to run this marathon. We're talking about months of training, sacrifice, preparation, all being put to the test this morning. And of course, you can feel the excitement and energy out here because these folks, they need a big boost. They need the spectators who are here to cheer them on. We're talking about people with cowbells, drums, signs, but most of all, you know what they have? They have a lot of love for these runners out here. They cheer on the masses. Some people here are here for family, for friends, but there's also complete strangers out here. And when you hear the roar of those spectators, it has to give you an extra boost, a boost you really need to make, especially if you're hitting a wall. is, when are you going to put on a half marathon? Guess what? Ask no more. A new chapter running starts next year. Mark this date, folks, June 7th, 2020. That is when the Bank of America Half Marathon hits Chicago, growing this sport and welcoming a new contingent of runners to this city. And, of course, we want to thank all the volunteers. That's the latest from here. Back to you.
Welcome back to the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. You got a split screen there. These are your leaders. Brigette Casca on the right, all by herself, doing well, although Ed has said she came out a little fast. We'll see how that all turns out. And then the men, this pack has thinned just a bit, but we've seen these same 6 gentlemen up in front for a while.
Well, we have, and the news on Mo Farah, for those who are concerned, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there, is that he is 31 seconds back. I mean, that is 150 meters. He is a long, long way back. You can see Chumba there is right on the heels of the pacemakers. You can see Bidan Karoki, who's more of a half marathon specialist, but is becoming a great marathon. Chirono, Tura, trying to identify all 6 of these fellas, but they are, they're trundling along at a good steady tempo. 20K 59.01, Ed. They're still on 2:04.30 pace.
2:04.30 pace. They've got a good rhythm, and these men, although I think only Chumba has run faster than that, 2:04.32. I think they're feeling good about themselves right now. I think they came through a half right about 1:02, and so continue to roll along. I like the fact that there are 6 of them there working together. We're down to only 1 pace setter, though. We would have liked to have seen 2 pace setters up there. That's Edwin Puich, who is one of the, actually is a very accomplished 10K runner and has run very fast times, 1 hour for half marathon and 2:07 for the marathon.
All right, we want to check in with Regina Waldrop. She's at the halfway point. Regina, I understand the elite men just passed you. How'd the crowd take that in?
Of course, they went crazy, Marion. The excitement, the energy, it is here at the 13.1 mile. The elite runners, they mean business. They had their game faces on as they passed us. They're pacing themselves. This is going to be an exciting race. Of course, as you mentioned earlier, we have a strong contingent of past champions, Olympians, Paralympians. They are all here competing this morning. This is so exciting for me to watch. And of course, everyone out here competing with confidence. But let's talk about what it takes to get here. We're talking about months of training, sacrifice, preparation, all being put to the test today. But of course, you know what gives them that little edge? Having the spectators out here. They are here cheering on the masses. We're talking family, friends. They're talking people with horns, cowbells, drums, signs. They have a lot of love for these runners. And of course, we want to be out here with them and we cheer them on as well. Back to you guys in the studio.
You're absolutely right. Chicago really does come out for the runners, every one of them. People, even if they don't know someone in the race, take the time to come out and cheer them along. We really do have a fantastic city here and one that supports this wonderful race. And we're going to head back to the start, get a look at this start line. This is our 3rd wave of runners. How excited must they be right now? They have been waiting the longest to get their opportunity to get across this start line. Tim, you made a really good point. This is a chance for them to feel that start. So why shouldn't they get that opportunity? This is a big day for a lot of folks. They're taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2, nope. I'm wrong on my count, but here they go.
And now, I don't know about feel the atmosphere. I'm concerned about whether they can feel their toes. It is cool.
They've been out there for 3+ hours waiting for this.
They really have. But, you know, the adrenaline and the excitement and the crowd. Maybe they got some crowd warmth as they were waiting out there. And I just love to see all the different folks, all the different walks of life, all the different members of the community of Chicago, every single ward represented.
Stories. And the people who are interconnected and connected with those people running. It's amazing.
You're right. There's so many amazing stories. People running for other people, people running for personal reasons, just for themselves. people running because they have
charitable aspects.
Oh, yeah, well, there's a lot of money made. $2.8 million raised for charity last year.
22.7.
Oops, my bad. 22.7.
7.
Off.
A little bit more.
Just a little bit more. We don't want to shortchange it all. Maybe it'll be 2.8 this year. All right, take a look at your screen, folks. That's the QR code. This is a really cool feature we have this year. Just point the camera on your phone to this QR code, and it'll take you directly to the NBC Chicago app. So if you have a friend or a loved one that's out there running, even after we've gone off the air at 11 o'clock, on the NBC Chicago app at NBCChicago.com, we will have the finish line streaming. So all you have to do is get the QR code, and you can watch until the race is over, all the folks coming through. There's also great marathon content. You can keep track of what's going on with the weather. We'll also have the latest news and sports, whatever you may need. It's a super cool feature, and all you have to do is point your phone, the camera on your phone right there, the QR code. It'll take you directly to the app. I love that feature. It really works quickly. It's a very efficient way to handle it. By the way, 12,500 runners are running this for the very first time. First-time runners, 12,000 people. Got
Very
the
brave.
bug, got the energy.
They saw us last year. They heard Tim and Ed.
I love it.
Do it. All right. Let's go back to the race now. Brigette Casca, again, all by herself. And Ed's concern here, did she go out too fast to start this race? That's what we're watching to see.
Well, she came through 20K in 1:03:27, which is about 2 hour and 14-minute pace, which again is ahead of world record pace. That world record pace, again, Paula Radcliffe, 2 hours, 15 minutes, 25 seconds, set way back in 2003 in London. That's 5:10 per mile, but her pace has slowed substantially from those open 3 or 4 miles. Now, hopefully she's just settled in now. She can ride this pace and then hopefully finish fast as she has done in the past. And it looks like she's got a nice, steady rhythm going, and I like the fact that she has 2 pace setters right in front of her to block the wind.
Well, the men were 62.14 at halfway, right on schedule. She should be posting halfway about now. But she's got those gaps, you know, Yeshane and Burka and Siner and Wayman all running very, very quickly. I mean, Yeshane was on 2:15 tempo not very long ago. So the way they've been dragged out has been astonishing, and they're all running at PR tempo. So I don't know. I still think she's overcooked it. I think she will pay for those early miles. The trend in her recent races, you've said it, is that she will run negative splits and accelerate through the second half. But how do you accelerate off world record tempo?
We shall see. We'll keep an eye on her. Right now, we want to send it back to Carol Marine and check in on how it's looking as she makes her way through the course as well. Carol.
So, Marion, we're right now doing what we like to call the Chicago Marathon Food Run. We're just past Greektown for the first time, where flaming Saganaki was invented. Can you say Opa? And about 3 miles will be in University Village and Taylor Street, home of fabulous Italian food. If we could, we'd stop for a lemonade and an Italian beef. The NBC5 coverage of the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We'll be right back.
It's really special that we get to have our trials, not only like obviously in America as a major marathon, but then in Chicago, because as you've noticed, we have a huge support from the University of Illinois.
The Chicago Marathon course is very comparable in terms of the topography and the conditions the athletes will face. So it yields a pretty fair result in terms of the selection process. So the athletes that perform well in that type of course are going to be the same ones that perform very well at the Paralympic Games.
Chicago's like, if you could call it like a hometown marathon for U of I think
that's what it is.
Okay, we got a minute left. So you guys start cruising around easy, get yourself situated. This is number 3.
The best training is right here. So if your goals are still to get a Paralympic medal or win a major, then you should be, this is where you should be.
I wouldn't be where I am in racing without, having been out here. I've learned just so much from all of my teammates. Marathons in general, the fields are so competitive that it can be anyone's race on any given day.
I think it's going to be one of the best women's field in history coming out. It's a year before the games. The athletes are getting into top peak shape.
My major goal right now is trying to make the 2020 team. I'll be attempting to on the track as well as the road, but right now my major focus is on Chicago Marathon because I love the marathon, and so to be able to make the team for that would be really cool.
The day-to-day training between Tatyana and Susanna really it's fostering improvement from both athletes.
I'm proud of being a Paralympian. I'm proud to be a wheelchair racer. I got into sports for health reasons, and it led me to where I am today. I never thought about being an Olympic champion. I just worked my way up to it, and it's been such a blessing.
Welcome back to the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Look at that mass of folks. We love to see everybody come out. 45,000 runners have come to a start line here in Chicago to be a part of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Hey, we have some big news, though, actually. Jordan Hesse, really the top American that we've seen running and done very well over the last seasons. We're not hearing much from her, Ed.
You know what? We didn't get any splits from her after 5K, and apparently it appears that she may have dropped out. And I don't know whether it just if she was injured, if she had something come up on the course, or maybe just the stress of the last couple of weeks. All of those things may have come into play, but as of right now, we have no other splits from her after the 5K mark, which is really kind of upsetting because we were looking forward to a great performance from her.
We came into the day discussing the fact that she could potentially break the American record.
Yes.
Well, that's right. And all the signs have been that she's training really well. And it's a long time to have thoughts going on in your head, and she has got a lot of thoughts in her head.
All right, let's check in now with Kaylee Dion. Kaylee is at the charity block party near mile 15. Hey, Kaylee.
Hey, Marion. You could feel the electricity out here just before mile 15 here at the charity block party. There are more than 60 charities that are set up to cheer some of these runners on as they move through almost halfway through the race. And we just saw some of the elites come through. We have more runners that are coming through right now. And with all of the charities that are here, you can hear them screaming. You can hear their bells. They're really helping those runners just get through that halfway point to be able to say, okay, I can do this at this point. And here they come. Look, we've got more elite runners that are passing through at this point. Everyone cheering them on. And we have one of the charities with us right now, Chicago Run, which is a huge program that's put together to put the youth of the city in more athletic ability with running, and you're really pro that. And I have Danya Rose in here with me. Kind of explain Chicago Run and what it means for the city of Chicago.
Yeah, and Kaylee, we're so excited to be here today. We can feel the palpable energy and excitement, and that's what Chicago Run does. Since late 2008, we've been providing a continuum of inclusive running and fitness programs to over 18,000 children and youth across Chicago so that they can enjoy the benefits of running. Not just physical, but the mental and emotional benefits.
Yeah, and you guys are out here cheering on several athletes. How many athletes do you guys have running in this year's marathon?
Yeah, we have a team of 35 incredible athletes today, and they know that partnering with an organization like Chicago Run means that they're adding extra meaning to their miles. And look around, we know how transformative running is. It changes lives, and our team believes that all kids across Chicago deserve equal opportunities to run and to enjoy the benefits.
Well, thank you guys so much for being out here and for all that you do for the city of Chicago and helping with the youth. And we have so much more going on out here at the 42nd annual Bank of America Chicago Marathon here at the charity block party. I've got puppies coming up, so you're not going to want to miss that. And of course, more runners that they make their way through mile 15. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Kaylee. We're also looking at Daniel Romanchuk, who is in the lead, poised and on his way to becoming a two-peat champion here in Chicago.
We haven't seen these guys for about 15 minutes, and we saw a pack of them, and I think Romanchuk was in sort of third, fourth at that time. He's now got over 400 metres lead. There's nobody else in sight, so he has blown them away over these last few miles. I mean, he's just exploded, and that power is all coming to the fore. You know, we said earlier on in our introduction to this marathon, this kid could dominate for years to come. He's only 21, and he's proving that here.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a 2-minute lead right now. He is just rolling like never before. And again, he won here last year. He's the new kid on the block. Since then, he won also at London and at Boston, second at Tokyo. He also won at New York last year. So he had just been on a tear, and you can see the kid has such power, such strength, such shoulders, this huge barreled chest also, great pulmonary capacity on him, and the wingspan, we've talked about him before, 6'10" wingspan on this guy. He was made for this event.
He really was.
He has the most calm demeanor. I mean, he's so unassuming.
He's a baby.
And it seems as though he saves everything for the race course.
He does. I love how some of his concerns lately have been, well, I have to pay a mortgage now. I have a house.
Water bills.
He's just a regular kid.
You know, I really loved at the press conference when he picked up the microphone. He said, I had to learn to hold one of these.
How to use this. I have to talk to people now. It's a completely different thing. He's fun to watch, too. When you get, you learn more about him. He's just fun to watch because you know how unassuming he is. But he's such a power. It's like these two personalities. He's the beast. He's the Clark Kent. That's a good way to put it. With the glasses, he's bespectacled and everything. And he's amazing now. And I love the University of Illinois program. It's such a strong program, and it builds such confidence in a lot. I mean, you can see.
Harry Potter, was that name on the roster?
Yeah, he's a rock star. He's great to see. And he's from Maryland, but I saw him at the press conference right before, and I said, well, we're claiming you now. Anytime you spend any time here in Illinois, you have been claimed. It's good to see him do well. And he should be crossing pretty soon. He should be getting close. I'm trying to get a sense of where exactly he might be.
Well,
he's almost at the turn. He's almost at the turn at Roosevelt.
Well, the record goes back to 2010. You know, they started really fast. Then there was that midsection where I think they were in the wind maybe, and they were watching each other quite a bit. Need to check on the time that they're heading for in this wheelchair race. But, I mean, the speed, the power he's generating here, and I really like that flexibility in the shoulders. The rhythm he's developing is astonishing.
Yes, and they built in a 40K preem in here, kind of a sprint, to award them extra points for the World Marathon Majors. I think they got an extra 8 points for whoever takes that. The thought being to be a group of guys and be able to sprint at that point and put some action in there. But he's all on his own, and he has certainly taken that preem at the 40K point. So he'll get some extra World Marathon Major points for taking that.
He probably won't need them. I mean, the rate he's going.
It's a little redundant at that point. Share those points.
Just clear up that time. Apparently he's heading for something just outside 1:30. So because of those deliberations in the middle of the race, he's nowhere near record schedule. But do you think it's going to come? Of course it is. One of these years.
The record, 1:26.56, and that was set back in 2010. So it's a ways back by Heinz Fry, the gentleman that you mentioned.
Who's now north of 60, but I mean, up until very recent years, Heinz Fry has been like the great mentor for this generation of wheelchair racers on the men's side.
Yeah. Here he goes. This is the turn onto Roosevelt. Tim, you're going to call this as he makes his way back down Columbus Drive. This is always so exciting.
This is the last little hill on the course, too, and so those chair pushers have to work a little bit harder going up this.
God, I wonder
and then they'll make that turn
right
on.
Now. How you feeling? How you feeling?
He's such a big guy. You know, you build up momentum, and of course you generate that momentum and that acceleration, and it's kind of easier to keep it going. And it's like an oil tanker. It takes a long time to slow down and turn. And this guy is a tanker. I mean, this is a million-barrel boy. This is just astonishing. He's over the peak of that hill now on the downslope. He'll probably accelerate, and they'll have trouble clearing the area behind the finish line. The speed he's moving at.
Oh, I bet.
Slight downhill finish as he makes his turn, and we will be able to see him just go right by our studio.
He's coming right now.
Yep, he'll pass us in a second.
Well, he celebrated his 21st birthday about a month ago. And Romanchuk here has picked up in Chicago where he left off last year. He's had a bunch of victories in between, a second place in Tokyo.
clears that bump safely and heads for the line to retain his title. It has been an astonishing performance from Manchuk. He has blown them away in the final quarter of this race and cleared daylight behind him as he wins the 42nd Bank of America Chicago Marathon and kicks off Series 13 of the World Marathon Majors in spectacular style. Usually we see sprint finishes with 3 or 4 guys close together here in Chicago. That put him a class apart.
He is so dominant now. It's so, and to see him so far ahead.
Certainly a legend in the making, for sure. We're going to see him for years and years and years to come. PR for him for this race by over a minute, I've been told. On a windy day, just absolutely phenomenal for him.
I keep looking back to see when the second place finisher. I don't see anybody.
Well, he's got to be getting used to this at least, even if he's still learning to hold a microphone.
Well, he had a 2-minute lead, and he worked on most of that over the second half. So just a phenomenal, powerful athlete. Very happy for him.
Okay, so we're not done yet. We have a long way to go. So much more excitement. We've got the women's wheelchair finish coming. We'll be back with more of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Don't go anywhere.
Charity block party right about mile 15 at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. There are more than 60 different charities that are out here that have runners running in the marathon. We're seeing some of the runners run by right now. And I went ahead and got me a friend that was a little bit closer to my height. This is Elijah. Elijah, how old are you?
6 and I'm 7.
You're 7? And you can see by looking at Elijah's hat that he's with Cal's Angels. It's one of the charities that are out here along this strip cheering on some of the runners. And it's a pretty big program. Can you tell me why you're here?
I sort of forgot though.
You have a couple people that are running this race for you, correct?
Yes.
What's their names?
Austin, John, and Brigette.
Austin, John, and Brigette are running on behalf of Elijah because you did what?
Beat cancer.
Wait, I need you to say it louder. I can't hear you.
Beat cancer.
Yes. Elijah beat cancer. You were diagnosed with leukemia at 2.5. And this past year, you beat it. And you are an inspiration for many runners out here, including the 3 running on your behalf. And that is what Cal's Angels does. And they have about 50 runners out here that are supporting several different children that have been fighting cancer. Thank you, Elijah. You did great. Give me a high five. And we have so much going on here. You can feel the electricity of all the different people cheering on these runners as they pass through here. It's a really important mile marker because it's halfway. And in your mind, you're halfway there, but you just need that little extra push. And that is what's going on here at the charity block party. We're going to have much more coming up throughout the show. Back to you.
And welcome back to the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. We are looking at the one and only Brigette Casca. She's running by herself for most of the day. The concern here is whether or not she went out too fast.
Well, last we were told she came through 25 kilometers at 1 hour, 19 minutes, 33 seconds. That's still 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 16-second pace. That's still ahead of world record pace. But remember, she was way ahead of world record pace earlier on. So the question is, how much has she slowed, and can she continue her momentum going?
Well, 2:14 tempo. What she has done, and she's well past halfway, she's built up a big cushion behind her now. Now, I don't know, Carrie Tolleson, if you can hear us out there on the bike, and if you can see any expression on the face of Brigette Casca. Has she shown any signs of strain yet?
You know, she looks really good right now, Tim, but she did go through still a minute faster than what Paula Radcliffe went through 25K when she set her world record. So she's still doing really well. I don't think she's quite as comfortable as she was, you know, a few miles ago. But listen, she'll go through she'll run 5:09, 5:09, then 5:12. And then she'll do 5:09, 5:09, 5:14. So I'm not quite sure if it's the pacers or if it's her, but I do think that she's locked in right now. She's starting to show her teeth every now and then. Her eyes aren't always up. Sometimes they're kind of creeping down. And I find that when I see a runner at this vantage view, I see their eyes drop, and that kind of worries me. But right now, she looks good. She's got a really good rhythm. Her arms are where they should be. Her legs, her knees are coming up. Her feet are coming off the pavement. She looks smooth. But there are those glimpses of, is she starting to falter when she has those slower miles? But then she pops right back on pace.
Well, we'll see what happens.
So,
we know that she's
she
on
looks great.
Jackson right now. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Carrie. She's on her way on Jackson. She's in the West Loop. Manuela Schar is in the other box there. She has pulled away from the pack, and I can't tell exactly where she is, but she is quite a ways away from the rest of the pack that's right behind her. And she's been dominant lately. Now, we did wonder about Tatyana Mcfadden maybe making a run this time around, maybe getting stronger because she has not been as strong the last few years after injury. But Manuela Schar has had a lot of wins under her belt now. She knows how she needs to win. She knows how she needs to race, presumably.
Well, she's won every World Marathon major race. She's got 7 in a row going, in fact. She's got a world record on an official course and the best time on an all-conditions course. So her confidence is sky high. I don't know that there's another wheelchair in sight behind her currently. Again, just like Daniel Romanchek is kind of in a league of his own right now, Manuela Schar has also found that same league, and it is Major League.
Yes, it is. She is on Michigan Avenue, just taking her way to Old Roosevelt.
Just to explain to people the World Marathon Majors, there are 6 venues, 6 races in the annual cycle, but actually there's 7 races in the World Marathon Majors series, because if Chicago starts this year's series, Chicago next year will still be in this series. It'll be the end of the series. So then you get 6 plus 1, so 7 to each series. And then, of course, next year, the following race after Chicago, which is New York, will be the beginning of Series 14.
Right. And then you also add in, don't you, the World Championships and the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Now, the conditions, you were talking about earlier that she has done well on hilly conditions.
Well, she's done well on all conditions lately. You know?
Right.
There's not.
She's pretty much doing. You're right.
There's not a condition that she doesn't do well in.
And Heinz Fry is the one who is her mentor, the one who she works with.
And she's got a 2-minute lead at this point.
2-minute lead.
And I think Tatyana Mcfadden is in that pack a couple of minutes back. But a nice, comfortable 2-minute lead. She's past the 40K mark at this point in time, so she's getting very close to finish it well. She would have also got that 40K preem that was there for a sprint, but again, she's been doing her sprinting since the halfway mark.
Speaking of sprinting, there was a sprint for 2nd and 3rd place in that men's wheelchair race, with David Weir taking 2nd place by 1 second from the South African Ernst van Dijk. But they were over 3 minutes back, roughly 3 minutes back from Romanchuk, the eventual winner.
Wow.
May see the same in the women's race, looks like.
Yeah, dominant stuff.
Well, and sometimes when you get a breakaway leader like that, then the second pack is just kind of doing more of a tactical race amongst themselves. So sometimes that gap will get a little bit greater than what it would be otherwise. But great performances by Weir in 2nd place.
What do you think Schar is going for now? She's dominated so much. Do you think she's going for what's next for her?
Interesting is she doesn't have mirrors. She can't see what's going on behind her, but she's kind of locked into this zone of self-focus, tunnel vision. She's just got to push as hard as she can. I mean, I presume she hasn't looked back for a while. I haven't seen her look back. It involves quite an awkward movement when you're in that chair.
And as you touch on that point, thinking about Daniel Romanchuk, Manuela, and Brigette, I mean, to be such a phenomenal, dominant athlete that you're really just racing against yourself.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Absolutely. Well, of course, the top Americans will be going for those Paralympic team places in this women's wheelchair race, as they were in the men's race. We'll obviously bring you those results when we can, but
Shah here. I'm a little surprised that she's broken away and built up this 2-minute cushion behind her, because I thought maybe Tatyana would be more competitive.
Yes, all indications were that Tatyana had kind of figured things out to close the gap. But again, I think once you're able to make that gap, and if someone doesn't go with them, then I think sometimes the competitors in that pack start worrying about each other, and they let the leader go ahead. And particularly when they've known that Manuela Schar had just been on such a tear for so long. Here she's making her turn on Roosevelt now, I believe. Little last bit of uphill that she'll have to work, get over that top, and then she'll be making that left turn to come on down into our finish line.
But you know what's so impressive with both she and Romanchuk 10 minutes or so ago is there's no faltering on this upslope. The power is still there, driving really hard up the hill. And it shows how well they've judged their effort. There's no hint of really struggling there, and I have seen that in races before from wheelchair racers on upslopes. This is mighty impressive, and again, dominant. And actually, there's something special about that isolation as you come down the home straightaway and head for a very comfortable victory. It underlines your dominance. So it's about, 280 yards, I think, from this final turn down onto the home straight, and she will see the finish line as she takes this corner left turn onto South Columbus Drive. And there'll be a lovely sense of deja vu for Manuela Schar of Switzerland, 34 years old, pushing and performing as well as she was 12 months ago, as she has done over the last 12 months. She has been the standout, totally dominant performer for the last year. Crowned World Marathon Majors champion for Series 12 a couple of days ago, where she kicks off Series 13 in superb style. Nobody else in sight behind her. Looks a little bit just like we saw 10 minutes ago with Roman. I want to crown them now. It's probably unfair on their competitors, but boy, oh boy.
And we thought there'd be more of a race here, and clearly she has shown, and maybe she kind of felt that too. Maybe she felt that people were looking at Tatyana a little bit differently now, that she'd had some chance to kind of come back from her injury. I think she's put all those thoughts to rest anymore.
Yeah, I think this was a flex on her part.
Yeah, maybe so.
She went, no, Tatyana, not quite.
Right.
She finished second to Tatyana, 4 or 5 times here at Chicago in the past. She was patient. She worked on her game. She's come back stronger than ever. She won last year, and then she flexed today and said, I am here to stay for a while.
Speaking of flexing, let's check in with Alex Maragos, who has the flexor-in-chief, and Daniel Romanchuk, our champion, 2nd year running with wheelchair men. Alex.
Yeah, he just can't lose here in Chicago, can he? Daniel Romanchuk, congratulations on your 2nd straight Chicago Marathon win. How was it out there today?
Thank you. It was a nice day, nice and dry, a little cool, but that's all together a great morning.
You burst onto the scene here last year, winning in your first effort in Chicago. You have went on to win New York City, Tokyo. You have had an amazing run here. What has it been like this last year?
This last year has just been, it's really hard to describe. I just, first of all, thank God for the opportunities that I've had, and to family and friends and my sponsors, Top End, AIS Construction, and just for all of the support that they've provided over the year.
And with today's effort, a spot on Team USA, how does that feel?
It is
pretty amazing.
It's again one of those things that's just like it's gonna take a while to sink in. Just glory and honor to God. I mean, it's
really a pretty nice way to start 21, huh? You just turned 21. Amazing. Congratulations again, Daniel. Thanks for coming back to Chicago. It's a thrill to watch you race.
Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you. Daniel Romanchuk, you can't lose.
Thanks, Alex. I love his humility. He hadn't even taken in that he's going to go to the Olympics. It's almost like it was overwhelming for him to think about it. It's like, you were going, bud. I mean, there's probably no doubt that you were going.
I love that, just that he was emotionally moved by the opportunity to represent his country. Forget about the fact that he's won, 4 or 5 world marathon majors. He was brought nearly to tears there with the thought of being in the Olympics.
Absolutely. That is a beautiful thing. And then here we see Tatyana. She's making her way to Roosevelt, that final hill. It looks like she may be going to Tokyo as well. She would be the first American to cross. And that is one of the, and this is the Paralympic trial, so this would be her ticket right here. Again, hitting that hill. Look at that power.
But she has got company. We saw somebody just a couple of yards behind her.
Yeah,
there we go.
Oh, there we are. Oh, wow, we may have her. That's it. It's McGrory. That's McGrory. It's Scaroni's close by. This could be a race for the tickets.
But Scaroni is there. I think there's a third.
I think you're right,
there as
Tim.
well. We saw her
right.
just now.
Well, 52-54 is McGrory. Amanda McGrory just taking the lead from McFadden right there, making the final turn.
There they go. This could be a sprint. You got it, Tim.
Well, this is a fabulous little domestic dust-up. The pride of Tatyana Mcfadden, who has won this race again and again. Ooh. And against McGrory. And there is contact there down the home straightaway for this women's race, second place. But it is McFadden, I think, who comes out on top and eases towards the line. The power is still there. She may not be champion this time, but there are good more years to come for McFadden there. McGrory almost caught on the line there by Scaroni of the USA, and that was really, really tight for a Paralympic team spot.
It was. That second spot, perhaps. Yeah, that could have been a photo finish on that one. But Tatyana fought to make sure she made her way in there. What do you think about that? Was that a push? Was that what
No, I think what happened is there's a little paved spot right there where they hit a bump, and I don't know that was a push. I think we just saw her hand leave the wheel there momentarily for a second, but they were definitely digging down for that second spot.
And you're right, that second spot, that might have been a photo finish. Scaroni came up from behind. I don't even know if McCrory saw her there, felt her there.
It looked like McGrory was over at the first spot of the line, and Scaroni may have got her by the second part, but I think they will mark that first part of the line as the actual finish line. So we'll have to go back and check that. Scaroni certainly came on strong.
Well, Scaroni has been training with Manuela Schär in Switzerland, so she has obviously had some of that great form rubbed off on her. So although she does hold the American best in all conditions, 1:30.42.
We bumped right into each other.
Oh, we're talking about the bump there.
We're fine. Great, thank you. Oh, great. Let's get a picture before we...
And we check out the men. We have a distinct pack of 5 now.
We do. Chumba has dropped back over the last few minutes. There's been very, very little change over these last 20 minutes, apart from Chumba struggling. And he looked the most up for it, didn't he, Ed? Through the first 10 miles or so. I mean, Chumba was certainly there pushing the pace. He was up behind the pacemakers. Almost, it looked like he was chomping at the bit. But now we are down to 5. And Karoki there, who is the quickest of all these fellas at the half marathon. I mean, Bidan Karoki is a 58:43, I think it is, his best half marathon. He has the best track credentials of all of them, 26:52 for 10,000 meters on the track a couple of years ago. And actually really good recent form with that win in Buenos Aires back in late August in 59:05 for the half. So Karoki here looking great, I have to say.
Yeah, Karoki coming into this thing, the fact that he ran so fast down in Argentina, 59:05, and the fact that he has great track speed, boy, I would like to be away from him right now. I'm wondering, Todd, you're right down there in the midst of them right now. Who's looking the best to you right now? Karoki has a great finishing speed, but what can you tell us?
I mean, Karoki looks really great. He's really comfortable. When the pace setter dropped, he took the lead. No problems at all. Just shoulders are low. Facial expression's great. He handled the water stations well. But, with the other 4, DeBella looks super strong. He hasn't touched the lead. He's just looking around all the time, so he's relaxed. And then, of course, you got the Boston Marathon champ, Chirono, that's just kind of biding his time. And maybe, come down that last couple miles, we'll see. But it's definitely down to the pack of 5. looking about last projected time was right at about 2:05.
Yeah, Toronto's still in there. The fact that they're packed together. I mean, are we talking tactics here too? The Pacers are no longer in it. Are they all trying to figure out how to run their best race?
Well, that is a danger, of course, in this sort of situation. I say danger. May affect the eventual finish time being optimally fast. But actually, you know, if it's a cat and mouse game for these next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so be it. You know, we want to see great strategy and tactical racing. Very, very different to Brigette Casca, who has just gone through 30k in 1:35.18. She's on 2:14 schedule still, and it's looking more and more likely that Paula Radcliffe's world record holder status is living on borrowed time.
Wow. That's big talk right there. I know we talked a little bit about her coming out too strong, so we'll see how that all plays out. This is when it gets super, super exciting. Do not go anywhere. Lots to keep track of with the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Stay with us.
Bank of America Chicago Marathon last year had $378 million of economic impact to the city of Chicago. And if you think about that number for a second, that's people spending money on hotels and restaurants and shopping and all the things that Chicago has to offer for tourists and people that come and visit. And what was great about that was a record last year, and we looked at what that came from. Over 30% of our runners now are international runners coming to the city, many of cases for the first time, getting a chance to see our city, bringing their friends, bringing their family members, coming and spending 4 or 5 days in the city and really, really getting a chance to celebrate the great city of Chicago. And then you have over 11,000 of our 45,000 runners that are running for charity. Those 11,000 runners last year generated over $22.7 million of charitable funding. And so you think about that $22 million, it helps local charitable organizations, national and international organizations really fulfill some incredibly worthwhile causes. And when you look at the impact of charity in the state of Illinois, for example, it's the single largest charitable event in the state in any given time in the year. And we continue to break records on top of records. In fact, since the charity program started in 2002, we've generated over $209 million of charitable impact. And some of these charities, it is a critical part of how they run their organization and give back to the community in the way they do. So I was a runner for 8 years, got a chance to run with my wife, run with my son, break my own personal record. More recently, I've been a spectator, I've been a volunteer. I've had a chance to really absorb all the aspects of what Chicago has to offer through Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Welcome back to the 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And we are very fortunate right now to have our female wheelchair winner, Manuela Schar. Congratulations to you. You are a full 30 seconds faster than last year. How do you feel?
Oh, I didn't know that. It feels great. It's so great to be back here. The crowd is just amazing out there, and it turned out to be a really nice day, so I'm so happy.
I know you said that you thought it was going to be a little colder today, so how was the course weather-wise and the conditions?
I'm so glad it wasn't as cold as yesterday morning was just freezing, and I think more windy than it was today, so it was not too bad, and just the last part into the headwind was really, really tough.
Were you thinking you were going to repeat this year?
I came in with, I knew it was going to be a different race than it was in Berlin 2 weeks ago, because it was the trials for the Americans for Tokyo next year. So I expected it to be a tactical race, which it was the first part. I just tried to do my thing and to keep the pace high, and finally after halfway I was able to pull away, and then I knew it's going to be a good race. Yeah.
All right, so I've got to read this because I thought this was very impressive. In Boston in 2017, you were crowned the fastest female wheelchair athlete in history. They're calling you nearly invincible since 2017. What has changed? Because in Chicago, you were always number 2 until last year when you took away that win.
Yeah, Chicago was always a tough one for me, especially that last hill towards the finish that always got me. There's nothing much that has changed. I just kept up training hard and working hard, and it seems to finally pay off, and that's the key, I think. And it's been an incredible 2 years, especially the last 12 months was just perfect and amazing.
It really has. Congratulations to you. I say that you look no worse for the wear. You look amazing. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, back to you guys.
She does. She looks like nothing just happened. But she is our champion once again, Manuela Schär from Switzerland. It's great to see. I'd like to hear, because it was a great question by Zoraida asking, what's the difference? Because for so long she was number 2, and she just said consistency, training, just working hard.
Yeah,
That's something to be said for that.
It's the same for all athletes, whatever their status. You know, if you can just put together several years of consistent hard training without the injuries, it's the injuries that can cripple careers. You know, it really does hold you back. It interrupts your progression. But if you can maintain those that great progression of training, winter after winter, you will see that improvement in performance.
And she certainly has shown that. Now we are looking at another phenomenal athlete in Brigette Casca, who's been so dominant over the last year and really seems almost invincible right now as well.
Well, she went out fast, but she was past 30K in 1:35.18. She's 10 minutes beyond that right now, and at that time she was at 2:14 flat pace. So I think she's done a great job of just ratcheting it back, getting in on world record pace, and just maintaining that, almost like a metronome behind those 2 pace setters that are out in front. The pace setters went out a little hot the first 5K, but they've now dialed it back in, and she is just looking so great on world record pace at this point.
And that's going to be exciting to see if she can break Paula Radcliffe's record. That is what we're looking at from Brigette Casca. All right, before we get too deep and close to the finish with our elite runners, we want to check in with Jen DeSalvo, who's in Chinatown, who is around about, mile 20 or so, herself a marathoner, an ultra marathoner. What's going on there, Jen?
Well, it's mile 22, and this is the part of the race where all of that pasta you ate last night, that's gone. That's out the window. Your body is really hurting. And there's plenty of organizations out here on the Bank of America Chicago Marathon course. It's what makes it so great. So many people coming out to help support the runners. And one of those organizations is BioFreeze. I spoke with Amanda Shuda. She's the director of partnerships for BioFreeze. And this is what she had to say about mile 22. I'm feeling a tightness in my calf, and I need BioFreeze in the middle of the race. What happens here?
So you'll come on into our zone, you'll find one of our trained brand ambassadors. He or she will spray it wherever you have issues, just indicate where. You'll find that fast-acting relief. You'll cool the pain, and you'll get back to your race.
Thank you.
So it helps with pain relief, muscle pain, ache, soreness, really anything. It kind of helps with delayed onset muscle soreness, really anything that could happen in the middle of the marathon that you need help with.
What's the importance of being at mile 22?
Typically, that's where the quote-unquote wall happens. So we wanted to position ourselves in the most optimal spot when runners truly need it the most. So we're right here, right when they need it. We have had people come up and say anything from calves to shoulders to back to literally spray all over my body. We've heard it all.
And besides relieving the pain, there's also places out here that the runners can get nutrition. There's bananas at mile 19, another banana stand right before where we're at here in Chinatown, but there's gel, there's sports drink, and there's all sorts of organizations out here assisting the runners through the 26 miles. Now, Marion did say, I've run this before, so I know how much people are needed out here. If you're looking to come out and support the marathon runners, there's still hours left of them coming past mile 22 in Chinatown. And I'm Jen DeSalvo live at Cermak and Wentworth in Chinatown, NBC5 News. Marion?
All right, thanks so much, Jen. You're right. Come on out. It's not too late. The elites, though, we are getting close to seeing. We're going to be close to the end here pretty soon. We've got this same pack, however, of 5 guys. They're really holding on. Could somebody break out? Does anybody have? You said you talked about the track guy, Carrie. He's the kind of guy who could break out to try to get away from this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised that Kuroki was pushing so hard over this last 10 or 15 minutes, because I'd have thought he might want to sit in the back of this pack and let the others do the work, because he has got track speed. Track speed at the end of a marathon is very, very little relevance, actually. We can, however, emphasize it sometimes. But they are still running very hard, and they're still on schedule for around 2:05:15, something like that. 35K, 1:43:53, Ed. So they haven't let up much in that men's race, and neither has this lady. Boy.
She really hasn't. All right, guys, hold it right there. We're going to take it to break, but when we come back, we will follow all the way through till we have a men's champion for the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Come right back.
Here in the Lakeview neighborhood, where the theme is Diva. I don't know if you can see, but we've got Cher here. We have Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, the gangs all here along mile 8 of the course. Can I interview you and find out why you're out here? What's your name?
Haley.
Haley. Now, you're out here. We've got these runners. We have our own soundtrack. We have our dance moves.
Yes.
Can you describe the vibe out here?
Oh my God, it is so cool. It's so energetic, and everyone is just coming out and supporting this amazing event, and the whole city comes together. It's very, very cool.
Do you live here in the Lakeview neighborhood?
Yep, I live on Belmont and Sheridan, and we all come together. It's awesome.
Is it a tradition every Marathon Sunday for you and your friends to bundle up as the weather may be and come out here?
Absolutely. We start with coffee, and then we move to the Bloody Marys, and we support everyone, and the vibe is just very cool.
Well, it's great to have the music out here, kind of dance and stay warm. Are you looking for any specific runner, or?
So we track a few of our friends and we cheer for them, but it's awesome because a lot of the runners will have their names on their bibs, and so we can say, hey Kyle, hey Marta, hey Lisa, and so that's fun.
Do you think it helps the runners to have this energy here at mile 8?
Oh my gosh.
Music and the divas and all the moves.
Totally, and you see people running without headphones. You don't need headphones in this area. You just like vibe off of the people's energy and the music and the divas. It's awesome.
Well, I know we've had this Britney Spears song for a while. I love it. We did it again.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Was that 30 or 3? Oh, I thought we were wrapping up. All right, we're still here. I'm just going to dance for you guys. Now we're going to wrap it up. I'll send it back to you.
Welcome back to the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, live on NBC Chicago. I'm live from Pilsen. I'm reporter Jorge Santiago. And let me step out of the way, because here in Pilsen, you're going to get the sights, the sounds, the emotions of the community. Take a look. This is not only the Mexican community, but there's 22 flags being represented, and that's being brought by the Latinos Biking for Your Dreams. What does this mean for you guys, Alex?
It's an amazing thing that we're trying to do, you know, welcoming every single Latin American runner, and just to accentuate the very fact that every human being has a great value, and that's what we're trying to communicate today.
Thank you so much, Alex. And you know what? It means so much more to Katie. Katie is a teacher and a principal at a local school here in Pilsen. What does this mean for you? What does it represent? And who are you here to support?
I'm supporting my twin sister. Megan Scully is running today.
Megan, so she can see you.
Yeah, right. So Megan's a resource teacher at Queen of Angels in the Lincoln Square neighborhood. She's running with the Big Shoulders Fund racing team. The Big Shoulders Fund is an incredible organization here in the city that supports inner city Catholic schools. So Megan has been fundraising for almost a year now, and all of the money that she's fundraised is going to be donated to my school, St. Anne's School, which is just a few blocks west of us here in Pilsen.
Money that is well needed in your school.
Yes, absolutely. We have the most dedicated families in the world, but a lot of them rely on financial support from donors in the city to keep their kids enrolled at St. Anne.
Katie, thank you so much. I'm reporter Jorge Santiago, and these are live images from Pilsen. Now back to you guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Jorge. We appreciate it. Now, we have already talked about how this race for wheelchair is the Paralympic trial. Now, we saw a little bit. We saw Tatyana Mcfadden. She's got that spot. We saw a little bit of a battle for seconds. Zoraida Sambalin is with the two women that will be representing the U.S. at the Paralympics coming up in Tokyo. Zoraida.
Isn't that a big deal and a great deal? So we do have now Tatyana and Susanna, Tatyana Mcfadden and Susanna Scaroni. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you so much. It's an excellent day. I'm so excited for today because I went from 11th last year to 2nd today, and I'm so proud of my teammate and I. We are the first named to the Tokyo Paralympic team. So we're really, really excited to be officially going first named to the team for track and field. So we're beyond exciting. We have a lot to work on for next year, but we're so happy to secure this spot here in Chicago.
So I have to say, as I was talking to them ahead of time, Tatyana says we're coming back for 1 and 2 next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a strong American group throughout the entire race, and I think it's a good feeling about getting ready for the Tokyo Games, especially in the marathon. So I'm feeling so good today. Thanks for all the support.
And how was the field for you? How was it today?
You know, we had an incredible field at this race. Everybody who could happen to have was here. We made a pretty good gap off the start, and so we had a really strong group. About 4 of us for most of the race, and then we just worked as hard as we could to secure these slots today. So it was a good American showing today, especially being in Illinois, right down the road. We got to come up here and have a lot of local support for us. So it's been fantastic. We heard a lot of our names out there today, which is really fun.
I think U of I would be proud today, for sure.
Oh, I think we're all very proud. So Team USA here, congratulations, ladies. I always say that you come off and you're just like you haven't done a single thing. You look great.
Oh, thank you.
And super coherent in the conversation. So congratulations. Congratulations. All right, back to you guys.
Wow, U of I, a great showing there. That was a tough push for the second position. Scaroni came in right behind McCrory and took it. So she got those two ladies on their way first, as Tatyana Mcfadden just mentioned, first to be named for track and field as the Paralympic athletes for the U.S.
We're down to 4 in this men's race. Tura has gone, Ed, and it's getting more and more interesting, isn't it? Different guys going to the front and making the pushes.
Chirono right now, Boston Marathon winner, in the lead. We have 2 Kenyans, 2 Ethiopians battling it out. And Chirono, remember, he won Boston with a sprint finish when he outkicked an Ethiopian there. It'll be interesting to see how these 4 guys line up. We have guys in here with great track credentials, but you know what? Your speed at the end of a marathon sometimes is different than if you were just fresh on the track. And we'll see which one of these guys is able to have the best kick.
The biggest guy on the left there is Dejane Debela, the 24-year-old Ethiopian. He's really strong. He's a big fella. He comes here after having retained his Xiamen title in China. It's his first World Marathon Majors race, this, and he's making a great go of it. But Todd, I don't know if you can hear us out there, Todd Williams, how is it looking to you? Who's your money on? Are you getting any information for being so close to those guys?
You know, Debela looks like he's been looking at his watch, and I mentioned it earlier, he's looking really strong, looking around, but Chirono, once he hit the lead, he's looking straight ahead and relaxed as well. So if I had to pick one right now, I'm going to go with the Boston Marathon champ, Chirono, to win this.
Okay, Todd, well, I know you're not a betting man, and you only drink healthy drinks as well, so that was an interesting bit of theory. But Debela here almost looks like he's chopping his stride. I mean, I think they're holding back here, Ed. Do you sense that there's nobody's really leaning into this, pushing hard?
Well, and again, they're positioning themselves for fluid here, and sometimes with just a couple, K to go, you'll just let this one go. It looks like 2 of the guys grabbed it. Well, all 4 actually are going to go for it here. One last little fuel stop, and look at this. Sometimes you can use a table like this as a break, and it looks like Debela's got a little bit of distance as he's gone through that. If you can get your bottle smoothly, take a sip, and then chuck it off to the side, sometimes you can get a little bit of distance.
What about Mengstu, you guys? I mean, he did well at Dubai, 2:04.06 in Dubai, his personal best.
This is Mengstu's third marathon for the year. He third at Dubai, second in Paris. He certainly is talented. He's run 2:04. So, but again, as we have this angle looking down, looks like DeBela got a little bit of a gap as he went through those water tables.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with DeBela here. You know, he's a huge guy for a marathon run. Look at his left picture, really solid legs. I mean, so different in build to your standard distance racer. And at 24, I mean, he's very much a growing talent. It's his 9th marathon, so he's got plenty of experience. He has a PR of 2:07, so if he were to continue at this tempo, he's going to run a personal best of about 2 minutes here. But it is coming on the back of 4 marathons last year from DeBela. He should be running on tired legs. Now, you know, he ran earlier on this year. He won Jamen back in January. So I guess you could say, despite 4 marathons last year and then a race in January, so 5 marathons in a 12-month period, he comes here actually without having run a marathon in what, 9 months?
Well, that's true, but the fact of the matter is he's run 7 marathons. He's done a lot in China. Most of his marathons, though, have been in the 2:10 to 2:12 range. He does have the one outlier at 2:07. So this is a huge PR, even over his 2:07 that he's run. And so obviously he's found something in his training to take him to a new level.
Do you know what? They have slowed 40K, 1:59.08. They're now on schedule for about 2:05.40. For the last hour, most of this second half of the race, they've been on schedule for something down around 2:05, just outside 2:05. So they have, in the last 20 minutes or so, lost about 30 seconds on the tempo they've been maintaining for most of the race, which tells me the cat and mouse game has kicked in a little bit. You know, they're watching each other. Kuroki there did some pretty severe pushing 15-20 minutes ago. Now he's at the back of the group. They're just hanging in.
Yeah, with 2K to go, you're just kind of eyeing your other guys, and you're thinking, okay, am I going to have it today? Chirono, I like Chirono right now, just the fact that he had a great sprint finish at the end of Boston this year where he outkicked 2 other men for the big money. And Chirono, I think, is just running very competitive and then saying, okay, let's see how I feel once we make that turn.
3 of them side by side there, and that aerial shot was very revealing. It looked like they were really striding along. I mean, from the front you can't tell, but there, look, those 3 side by side, that looks more like a training run. They're not really hitting the pedal here. And Kuroki at the back of the group, just sizing them up. This is fascinating.
If I'm Kuroki, I like my position because I have the fastest track 10K of anybody. So I'm just going to let those 3 guys lead, and I'm going to sit there and use my track speed at the end. That is if his legs feel the same as they did when he was a great track runner. Wow.
Well, Chirono.
Now we're in this is the real race here, though. This is where any one of these guys.
And do you know what? You have to wonder.
Come out.
You know, people talk about whether athletes are hungry or not. Now, Mengstu, I mean, he is established. He's 34 years old. He's run 2:04. That was in Dubai last year when he finished 4th. And then he was 3rd again in Dubai this year. And again in 2:04, a few seconds slower.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him in big World Marathon Majors races before. You know, he was 2nd in Paris earlier on this year. This is his 3rd marathon of 2019. So, having done Dubai in January, Paris in April, I was wondering, in my notes, I've scribbled, will he be tired? But he's not looking at the moment. And maybe, you know, when he's not experienced this big-time atmosphere before in a World Marathon Major, Ed, that little bit of hunger could be the edge.
But remember, he went against Mola in Dubai, and they were kicking to the. I mean, he was hanging with him.
Well, and
very close.
There's plenty of incentive also when you take into account first place, $100,000. 4th place, one of these guys is going to get 4th place, $30,000. A 70K difference.
Big difference.
First and 4th, and they're all going to probably finish within seconds of each other.
Okay, 2:02, nearly 2:03 on the clock, and we were looking at a winning time of around just inside 2:06. They've got about 2.5 minutes of running to go, and this is, look, you could throw a blanket literally over the 4 of them there. Is that Chirono just beginning to suffer?
Yeah, they're starting to dig a little bit now. Chirono's leaked off the back, but not too far. I mean, he's still within contact. I think any of these guys, DeBala now is looking over and going, is this the move? Is this the move? Is this all you got? Chirono's covering that move, though, so, boy, it's anybody's game at this point.
Well, you know, in February last year, I was at the Rack Half Marathon in the United Arab Emirates when
Karaoke ran 58.42 to become the 6th fastest man in history at the half marathon. He beat Mo Farah in the World Half Marathon Championships 3 years ago in Cardiff behind Cam Moore. He is a great half marathon racer. He's got the track pedigree as well, and he's a growing force in marathon running. And Karaoke, to me, looks like he's chopping his stride there. He's to the left of that pack as we look down on them from above. And I'm just wondering whether Karaoke's got the legs, whether or not athletes, like DeBela, the big fella out in front at the moment, has done his homework and he knows about the potential kick of Karaoke. Is he going to try and drag it out of him over this next couple of minutes?
What's curious to me is DeBela keeps looking at his watch, almost as if like, hey, is that a fast split? Look, at this point in time, I would think you throw the watch out and you just worry about the guys around you. They've made that turn, so this is a last little push up the hill.
Up the hill.
We'll see who's the strongest man up the hill, and then who's going to have the big kick as they make the final turn.
Could this be a sprint to the finish of a marathon?
If four of them. They've only got about 400 to go now. They've taken that ride onto Roosevelt Road. This is only about 140 meters, something like that. Then they take that final left turn.
Meng's still gritting his teeth.
Yeah.
They're coming.
It's the 2 Ethiopians ahead of the 2 Kenyans right now.
So, DeBela, Mengstu. Who's going to go first? Who's going to lose patience and kick away? And is it Karaoke that we've lost from this group? It is
like
Karaoke at the moment.
Chirono, the Boston Marathon champion, on his head.
So, DeBela, the big fella in front, looks like he's
Pulling away.
straining. And, that chop
And they're
stride.
turning. They're on the turn. Columbus Drive.
The left-hand turn on Columbus Drive, then South Columbus Drive, the finish line in sight. Karaoke, the man with the track speed, is spent. He's going to be in 4th place. But as they drive towards the line, Chirono, the smaller of the trio, hits the front. DeBela in his slipstream. Mengstu behind him. But Chirono here isn't able to open a gap at the moment. This is mind over matter. This is will over those tiring legs. Who's going to get there? Chirono pushes for the line, drives for the line. It's not really a sprint. It's just the ultimate test of endurance as Chirono takes it. The 42nd champion at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon is a Kenyan in that little East African dust-up between Kenya and Ethiopia. And Lawrence Chirono, many people's nod for the win beforehand, who beat Lalisa Desisa, the world champion 10 days ago in Boston, becomes the Chicago champion as well. And USA for him, Ed, is a very, very happy hunting ground in 2019.
We saw that same sprint finish for Chirono at Boston. Once again, he is able to dig down into the depths of fatigue to duke it out with DeBela for second. DeBela finishes in 2nd place, Mengstu in 3rd, and Karaoke, who we thought might have the biggest sprint finish, ends up with the worst sprint finish and ends up 4th.
Fascinating to see how he made his way through toward that push down Columbus Drive. That looks like when he took it over.
Well, he really did. There was a little bit of a jostling there because DeBela, the bigger guy, was there. He wanted to kind of horn in, and as they made that turn, he just dug down and was able to find that now. Just a moment of thanks to his maker for a great sprint finish.
What does it? What does it at that moment? When you're making that turn, you're all so close. Is it experience? Is it just grit? Is it push?
And also,
he's clearly drinking in the moment. It's beautiful to see that.
But I also have to wonder, physically, you have nothing left at that point, right?
No, they got to have something left.
They by the standards of big winners in this race for the past, for example, Mo Farah last year striding majestically to the win in a slightly quicker time. They were all absolutely spent when they took that last turn onto South Columbus. That wasn't really a sprint.
Something pushed them out.
Hanging in there and surviving, really. And I think Chirono just survived a couple of yards better.
Sometimes it's a matter of fatiguing the least, and that's certainly what Chirono did.
It's like hanging from a beam and see who's the last to let go.
The grip strength. The grip strength at the end. And then here is Brigette Casca, all by herself.
And you know what? That was a beautiful men's finish. Every race director dreams.
You want that. You really do, right? You want to see that.
But this is the performance of the day. I mean, this young lady, we'll get an update on her splits and as quickly as we can, but she had built up a cushion out of about 1 minute and 20 seconds. About 15 minutes ago?
Yes, and just courageous on her part. You know, it looked a little impetuous to begin with when we went out so fast for that first 5K, but then she was able to ratchet it back. I think she was able to control the pace setters a little bit more and start clicking off those 5-10 miles, 5-10 miles, 5-10 miles. Get back on that pace, and she certainly is looking great now. Her pace setters have stepped off the course. 2:08.32. She was at 2:07.11 for 40K, and still holding a 2:14.10 pace currently. Wow. She's able to hold on these last 2Ks. Well, we are witnessing history right here.
Absolutely.
The streets of Chicago.
Absolutely. And the irony is, of course, that the last world record here was set by Paula Radcliffe on the women's side. She then went on to run quicker in London in 2003 to run 2:15.25. And that world record for Paula Radcliffe, who is watching here just about 100 yards from this finish line, is living on very, very borrowed time, I'm afraid. Paula Radcliffe has been a quite astonishing queen of marathon running, but this is the new queen.
And also a tremendous discipline, because both of you were very concerned by how fast she started this race. I believe, Ed, you thought that it would cost her in the long run, potentially.
Well, I was afraid that she might, but she did rein it back in after about that first 4 miles, and I think, and obviously she has showed a lot of grit and determination in doing that. I was nervous because her past history has been to finish very fast, a lot faster negative split than the first opening half, but she was able to show that she can run 2 different ways. She's not a one-trick pony. She is such a great talent, so ahead of the...
There's Mo Farah crossing the line now.
So ahead of anybody else out there right now. Great props to her. What an amazing athlete.
Yeah, right behind us here at the finish line in our booth. Mo Farah has just crossed the line, a couple of clicks inside 2 hours, 10 minutes. A bad day at the office for Mo. That is his worst run in a marathon in 6 attempts, I think, now. So there will be, of course, a review of that for Mo, but a tough day for the Brit. But this from Brigette Casca. You know, there was a real sense of deja vu through that midsection of the race when she had the 2 pacemakers pounding along in front of her, because that's exactly the conditions that Paula Radcliffe enjoyed in London back in 2003 on a lovely sunny day in the English capital, when she had 2 Kenyan pacemakers all the way to the finish line for her. Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that her pacemakers have gone and she's having to make the effort, make her own pace head here all the way.
How hard is that? How hard is it to try to keep it going, to try to keep a pace like this going when you know you're fighting for that world record, when you don't have the pacers?
It's got to be incredibly hard, because actually, you know, we talked about how insane her pace was in the early miles, those first 4 or 5 miles. So this has not been an optimal way of getting to this point in the race and breaking a world record. She's actually had variations in her tempo which don't make sense. So there is more in the tank. This young lady, if she's going to run under 2:15 here, which I think she probably is, break the world record by something like a minute, there is more to come. That is frightening, man.
That is amazing. And it's almost despite what you guys have seen her do. It's not the race any of you would have planned. But she's doing her own thing. I like how you said that, Ed. She's not a one-trick pony. Here is Diego Estrada, one of the American runners, coming in. We haven't seen Galen Rupp. I don't know what's happened with him.
Well, Mo Farah's time apparently in 8th place, 2:09.58, so he has at least able to nail that 2:10 barrier, but not what he's been training for all these many months.
Have we had our first
monastic
American
lifestyle?
There's Diego
Estrada, sub 2:12 for Diego Estrada. We have had a number of Americans come through, I believe. We'll have to wait for those results to come through.
Because the organizers are very nice course. Fans were very cheerful all the way, and I appreciate all of them.
Lawrence Toronto, the winner of this year's 2019 Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
He's won 8 in his last 15 coming into today. We'll have more from the Bank of America Chicago Marathon right after this.
And we told you that runners really like this cool weather, and it shows. Now, Lizzie trains in that rarefied air of Boulder, Colorado. She's a sub 230, and now she runs today. Okay.
I'm reporter Jorge de Santiago, live in Pilsen, and this is the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Let me just tell you, we're in one of the most colorful, more energetic neighborhoods there is in Chicago. Take a look right behind me. Everyone's waving their flags. They're out here ready to give all those athletes and all those runners the energy that they need to feed off of this. because you know this is mile 19, so you know that most of the runners at this point are about exhausted, but they're feeding off of all this energy from the community out here. For many of the runners being out here, just the marathon itself means a lot. With me and Raquel, what does this marathon mean to you and to your boyfriend?
We have some of our family members have died with cancer, and some friends. My boyfriend Apolinar Cabrera is a wonderful person that he is a giver. He's passionate for running, and he helps people. That's his goal in life. Yeah, I met him 3 years ago, and he has changed my life.
What do you like about this neighborhood? People who are watching this internationally, what can you tell them about Pilsen?
That we can do anything we want. You can run, you can fly if you want, you can do anything you want. Just work for it and put God first in your life.
Raquel, thank you so much for being live out here with us. And as you can see, these are live images from Pilsen. If you're watching anywhere in the world, let me just tell you, this is the neighborhood to be at. Why? Because you get the sights, the sound, the emotion of the community. And we're going to stay on with these live images of the community itself, just having fun. You're watching NBC Chicago, and this is the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Now, let's get back to the main event where the athletes are crossing that finish line.
I'm Jen DeSalvo in Chinatown. It is mile 22 of the Chicago Marathon. And right now we're seeing people from corrals A and B come through. Now that's part of the first wave. The first wave has about 10,000 runners in it. We're seeing probably the first 3,000 to 5,000 runners coming down the streets through Chinatown. The crowds are starting to get packed. In fact, let's take a look at some of the crowds right here. Are you guys excited to be out here? Now, everybody in Chinatown is extremely excited of what's going on, including Anita Lau, who is the co-chair of Chinatown Special Events. Anita, tell us what exactly Chinatown is doing today for this event.
Well, welcome to the windy Chinatown, the 21.5 mile. We welcome everybody with open arms. I want people to see our culture, our business, which you could shop, eat, even stay here overnight because we had a hotel. But anyway, Chinatown welcome everybody.
Well, what are some of the favorite foods that spectators get when they come here to Chinatown?
Oh, can I mention the name? MCCB. They are the best.
So what do they serve?
They just like Asian food, but different type. You like spicy, they got spicy. You like something hot, they got hot.
Well, earlier you showed us some almond cookies, fortune cookies, and some stuffed buns that are like donuts. What are those?
Oh, they are the best bun. They had like barbecue pork, ham and egg.
And it's some of the great food that spectators get to eat while they come out here to cheer for the runners in the late miles at the Chicago Marathon. We're in Chinatown. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Jen DeSalvo. A lot of fun, always a lot of fun there in Chinatown. You're at mile 22. People need a little boost. It's always good to have them. Now we're going to check in with Carrie Tolleson, who is in the Abbott cheer zone. Carrie.
Hey, everybody. Well, I'm here with Tim Hetzema, and we are having fun here at the Abbott cheer zone. But Executive Director of the World Marathon Majors, you know what? Today's race was so amazing, and we start Series 13 right here.
So exciting. I mean, just seeing Brigette run by just so fast and unbelievable performances from our wheelchair athletes. We have 160 amateur athletes going after this amazing 6-star medal today. Just a great day so far. Beautiful weather as well.
Well, I didn't even have time to take my helmet off. I had to get back out here to you guys. But what does it mean to you knowing that all of these people know about the Abbott World Marathon Majors now, and it's not just for the elite athletes?
No, it's really for everybody. I mean, we have the fastest elite athletes in the world. We truly are where champions run, but we also have so many great programs for the amateur athletes. We have our world rankings starting again today, and again, the 6-star medal. So it's just a great day to start with beautiful weather in the city of Chicago.
Well, congratulations. It's fun just to run for the Chicago Marathon medal, but also to run for yours. So thanks for what you're doing.
So we are here with Brigette Casca, the champion, the world record holder. I need to say that pending ratification, you finished at 2:14.04, which means that you broke the world record, you broke the course record. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good, and I was happy because I was not expecting to run like this. But today I make wonders to run my best time, and which I could not ever run, and I was happy again.
It was incredible because you really ran from the get-go, really strong. How was the course for you today?
The course is good, and unless there's a little wind, which they push us a little bit, but the course is okay because last year I come and I feel it's good. But even today is good.
I said, do you know the expression, you killed it? Do you understand that expression? Everybody here was cheering, roaring, so excited for you. How did that feel?
I feel okay because people are cheering on the way for running. When we are running, they are cheering, and I get more energy and morale to kick faster, to still continue kicking because people of this place cheering. So I was happy, and I am happy again for these people, the people of this place.
Well, I got to tell you, Chicago loves you, but I think you can feel that, right? Yeah. I want to bring in a very special woman here because you shattered her world records. So her record in London, which was set back in 2003, come on in, Paula, in 2003, and then the course record, which was set in 2002 here in Chicago. So both of them in one day. How do you feel about that?
Well, they were obviously both going to go in the same day here, and yeah, I mean, I think we always know that time's going to come, and when I saw how fast Brigette was running in the first part of the race, and if she was able to hold that together, she was always going to beat the time. And I guess for me, 17 is my lucky number, and it was 17 years ago exactly today that I set the first world record here in Chicago. So that was a very special day for me today, and it's a very special day for Brigette today.
So it took a very long time. I mean, this is 2002, 2003. Did you think you would be the one?
I don't think, but when I was going, I feel my body is moving, so I try to go, and then I become a position 1.
Well, we're very proud of you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. This has to be bittersweet, right? To be here, though.
Oh, yeah, to be here and to see it. And like I say, if you told me in 2002 when I said that time that it would be until now that I held the world record, one of my biggest inspirations is Ingrid Christensen, and she held the world record for 13 years. So I guess one of the goals was to try and match her and follow in her footsteps a little bit. So yeah, it'll always be my personal best.
You're right. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. We are very proud of you here in Chicago. All right, you guys, back to you.
Thanks so much, Zoraida. Forever the competitor, right? Well, I held it a little bit longer. All right, thanks so much to Brigette Casca and Paula Radcliffe and Zoraida as well for the interview. We'll be right back with more of the 42nd running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Stay with us.
Balbo Hospitality that is located on your left-hand side at Balbo and Columbus. Look for the exit gate on the left and follow the sign to the Balbo Hospitality tent. And for the safety of all participants, we ask that you...
And I'm Jendi Salvo in Chinatown. This is mile 22 of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And runners right now, we're seeing about the first 5,000 to 10,000 runners come through. Everybody is looking really strong and really good. But the big reason is because there is a whole support group out there helping them along. And I'm joined by Kelly Rickert, who is the aid station captain in Chinatown. Kelly, what do you do out here to support the runners?
Well, we're at mile 22 right as they turn into Chinatown. So our station's in charge of Gatorade, water, and bananas. And so they're quite tired as they reach our station, so they get really excited about the bananas.
What does it seem like this year compared to years past that you've done this?
Well, this year is great runner weather, so as they're coming in, they're not overheated like in years past. So we're not dealing with rain this year, so they're actually quite cool. But again, they're a little tired, so it's our job to kind of cheer them on to the finish.
How else do you guys motivate them besides just feeding them water and sports drink?
I always tell our volunteers to really pick up something on their uniform, their hat, their name, to scream and yell, "You got this, you're almost there." It's only 4 miles left after they reach our station, so they're almost there.
Now, how did you get involved with working at an aid station and becoming a captain?
Well, my dad was actually involved when I was about 17, so he was the Gatorade captain at the station, and so me and my fellow runners volunteered for years in high school and college. And then when I started my own running group, Run to the Pub Running Club, about 5 years ago, we were out here every year, and last year the marathon asked me to step up as captain in Chinatown, and it's been a great experience.
And thank you for all of the service. Everybody out here thanks you for what you do. And if you want to get involved, you can reach out and check it out because they need plenty of volunteers every year at the Chicago Marathon. I'm Jen DeSalvo in Chinatown. Back to you guys.
Welcome back. I'm Kai Martin along mile 8 in Lakeview on course, and wanted to tell you a little bit that the Bank of America Chicago Marathon is one of the first global marathons to sign on to the UN's Sports for Climate Action Initiative. What does that mean? It means it's a sustainable race, and one person who's helping make that happen is aid station captain David. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us about how you're being sustainable this year.
The exciting news is every single cup that we are processing is compostable this year. So we're processing tens of thousands of cups. Every cup will go into a composting bag and it goes to the composting pile. It's wonderful.
That's great, because I know David Reithofer, as a lot of people run through here, they may notice, wow, there's a lot of cups on the street here in our beautiful Lakeview neighborhood. So you just want to let people know it's all going somewhere and being recycled.
That is correct. Every single cup that we scrape up off the street after all these runners have run through will go into a composting collection and will be processed accordingly.
It goes without saying that Lakeview